to hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the fall, or we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last
Welcome everybody back to the LTA South. We are here, we are ready for the final of LTA South Split 3 in the Sao Paulo Arena. My name is Trajan. I'm joined by RMC here for this final cast. Cade Stars versus Red Canids. Certainly not the final we were maybe expecting, RMC.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people were expecting this finals, but we did talk about it, Trajan, and this was kind of in a way, a fantasy final to be able to watch,
Yes.
to see take the top, because there's so much between these two teams. The fact that, you know, first of all, the mid laner matchup is going to be absolutely amazing. We want to see this. We didn't get to see this all split long. The fact that these are two dev teams coming through, the only two sort of LTA South teams with academy teams still in CD. The fact that the coaches, Trajan, on this one matter a lot. CL's Promise versus Talkers, trying to give Red yet another title. They are first and they're latest.
Yeah, it is not just a simple hand check on the Rift. There is on and off the Rift elements feeding into this meeting. The first meeting of these two rosters in this split, in this threat iteration, with Mirror added to BKS, with the additional changes, the multitude of changes that came through on Red for Split 3, they have not played against each other once yet on stage, and they are going to meet for the first time in the grand finals with these pivotal matchups around mid, bot, top. Everywhere on the map has explosiveness to bring to bear with these teams.
Yeah, and Trajan, as we can see in the sort of mini cam in the bottom left corner right now, we don't have the sort of full ceremony that we often do have with the grand finals back in the days of the LLA, back in the days of the CBLOL, but we are still having, you know, a bit of a big intro to come through. And one of the reasons why that's the case is because, of course, the merger between the North and the South to create just the LTA, and the winner of this doesn't just win the South, but they also punch their tickets directly to Texas. They are guaranteed to go to Texas, not just LA now, but also Texas. And Trajan, they also guarantee themselves a spot at Worlds. So the stakes are higher than ever here between the two teams.
Absolutely. Both of these teams would love to get that free pass through. We can see them walking out onto the stage down there as well. And I think that with there's so many young players here, some of them are well tested, like players like Trimby, LEC winners. To be honest, players like FNB, maybe not tested at International, but certainly has seen his fair share of CBLOL splits, LTA South, a finals appearance for him once before as well. On Vorax, was it? I believe back in the day. That's a call out for Dia, our producer today, as the teams walk their way out. And there's so many angles to approach this for. And the fact that Pain are left in the dust in third place, Loud away at fourth, Furia in the distance over the horizon back in fifth and sixth, such a change from split 2 for 3. That is just completely turned the league on its head.
I love how Miru and Kaze kind of walking out there. Miru already embracing sort of the southernness of everything there. Asking, clamoring for more support. And Miru being sort of the newcomer to this VKS squad. He's the big difference between last split and this split. Everybody else has been playing for the rest of the split, but Miru has really unlocked the team. And I feel like nowhere do we see that more than in the jungle, where Doom kind of struggled a little bit, when it was splitting, when he was working with Grefthar, didn't seem to connect with Kaze. He's doing much better, but Desamis with Miru, my goodness, Desamis has been ripping apart the Rift in the early game with the strength, with the priority that Miru has been unlocking for him.
Yeah, it is both of these teams pivot around that mid lane so much now in these iterations, and you can see the top lane is heading out right now. FNB will be heading to his first semi-international appearance, at least in LA, assuming a second place finish here today. But first place would punch his first ticket to any full international event after years of competing for this player. On the other side, Bowl, and you mentioned the team and the members of VKS that have been unlocked by this Mirio edition. Somewhat strangely, even the top lane of Bowl has suddenly kind of become that missing link and slotted into this roster and is realizing that potential that some have said he has had the whole time.
Yeah, as much as we talk about FNB, having been the best Brazilian top laner to never win, the crownless king, if you will, we knew he was good. We've seen that multiple times, but Bo, on the other hand, Bo's actually been around since about 2020, even pre-franchising. He's actually been playing in Tier 1 on and off, but this split is the one that's really seen him grow up.
Oh, dear me. Whoa, Frosty, whoa.
The ballings are spicy. I love the fact that Rebello and Morteas both went for the throat-slitting gesture there. Like they kind of matched it. But I want to talk about Bo a little bit too, because this split feels like he's really been unlocked. And we look at his pathway through the elimination bracket and who he actually had to beat. He had to go up against Weiser, and the other one he had to go up against was Gigo. So two of the best top laners in the region, and Bo beat them both, bodied them both in lane, and had huge impact out of lane as well. And then you look at FNB, he had to get through Robo, arguably the GOAT of Brazil, the most titles under his belt, as well as Weiser too. Poor Weiser got beaten up by both sides, but undisputedly, right now, the best top laners are playing here in this Grand Finals.
Yes, that seems to be the case. No matter how recently that may have occurred, right now, that certainly seems to be the case. And for both of these teams, as they get settled in with the draft coming up fairly soon, it does seem like so many of these teams, despite being kind of at the start of the split, we were talking about Pain, we're talking about Furia, we're excited for Loud, but not sure where that's going to go. And then VKS and Red, we're thinking mid-pack, maybe upper mid-pack, we're threatening, let's see how these new players land, let's see if this works out finally, see if VKS turn it around. And all of the doubts have just been quashed one by one, even though they have had the ups and the downs. It has not been a straight stomp of the split for either of them, but once they've reached here, they have peaked at the exact right moment, which is the grand finals.
It's funny that you say that, Trajan, because we look at the elimination bracket and the way we got here specifically, it's actually super interesting because Kate took the high road, right? Like they started in the upper bracket and they just kind of won their way here. So minimal amount of games played, and they crushed Pain as well as Furia to get here. Whereas Red made a bit of a slip up. They lost their very first round, which they chose to go against Pain, had to go to the lower bracket, but they made it here anyway. So both teams really have skilled up throughout this split. Other interesting point is, you talk about, we're thinking of them as mid-pack. I feel like the only thing we predicted right about that was the mid. This game, or this series, these teams have been about their mid laners. And we have a little bit of a graphic actually comparing Kaze and Miru, the top two mid laners that we never got to see this split match up, and now we do. And it's kind of funny too, because before yesterday, some of these stats were flipped. Miru was first in KDA prior to this. He was first in goal difference of 15. And, it's really yesterday, I think he wasn't higher than Kaze in solo kills, but yesterday changed things up, and Kaze yesterday had a pop-off series. He's now, up above in KDA. He's having higher kill participation. He's really getting in there with his team. Oddly enough, despite him participating more in fights and having more impact, Miru still leads in damage. And part of me wonders, is that the laning phase? Is Miru just better at trading in that laning phase, getting prio, and unlocking himself and his jungler to move around a bit more?
It does seem like Mirio has been completely unstoppable in that early stage. No matter how many members of the enemy team show up in his lane, this is an uncrackable guy right now. And he was always good on Isrus Estral in the previous splits. He was always strong, but never this strong. Something about this VKS roster and Mirio have clicked to a degree that I have rarely seen a roster move work quite this well, quite this fast. It is astonishing how well he's done. And on the other side, Kaze is just a whirlwind, a Tasmanian devil of a player that is so hard to pin down. I can't wait to see the matchup against each other. But we have the draft unfolding before us, everybody. We're already through that first phase. Not a single mid-ban, except, no, that's not right, Aurora and Galio. But we're still looking at Akali's. We're still looking at flex picks for Kaze, Zeds and TFs. There is still plenty on the table for them as Red lock in FMB's Rumble first.
I mean, his Silas that multiple coaches had to apologize for. I mean, Loud's coach Ray's had to say, yeah, you know, we did this intentionally. There was a plan, trust guys. And then yesterday, Pay left it open and Kaze ran with it. So bold choice by Coach CL to leave it open. I wonder if this is almost a talker-esque strategy of letting your opponents pick all their OPs up front. In fact, I actually don't expect Kaze to pick the Silas necessarily here in game one when there's so many other strong options like the Rumble we see Red picking up, like the Wukong that Cade's picking up. Pantheon is still available if we're looking at sort of the OP jungles as is Xinjiao.
Yeah, now it's even a contested pick between these two mids, the Silas as well. Miryu was one of the first people to start bringing this back on the Isris SR roster. Kazi is now joined and they are both big threats on it. And in this Fearless format, whoever grabs it could be very, very impactful on it. Now, VKS has started and answered with the Wukong Annie. The Pantheon left open for Doom and straight to a Talia for the Kaze. So certainly not as explosive from Kaze, at least, that we maybe could have expected. And I'm honestly surprised to see the Pantheon Prio for Red. It has not been one of the more common picks for Doom. They've been much preferring to ban it than take it for him so far.
Yeah, and to be fair to Doom, the one time he did play it, he had massive impact early on. Very aggressive.
Great.
It fits his style perfectly.
Yeah.
And when you pair it with something like a Talia too, that's one of the original kill combos, plus the sheer amount of map pressure you have. What does surprise me is you start with the Rumble, great teamfight pick, but the moment they saw the Wukong Annie come across from K-Stars, they're like, yeah, we're not trying to match teamfighting. We're not going to go full 5v5, just smash our faces into each other. No, we pivot away to sort of the more global composition, and Talia does have a decent matchup into Annie with the Seismic Shove. You know when an Annie's going for you. She starts running at you, so you just run away. Seismic Shove. Exactly.
Yeah.
Cade, they're happy with it though, and they recognize where the stronger teamfight comp are going to index even heavier into it. Bull with a Scion pick that a little bit uncharacteristic. We start the split kind of going like, hey, Bull is just that carry player. VKS does best when you unlock him with a carry. This split, this part of the glow up for Bull. He's playing tanks, he's playing utility, and he looks great on them.
And as we start to get to the second rotation of bans focusing on that bot side now, I will say that what our big worries for VKS into Furia, into Pain, was Bowl is a problem. Bowl will have to weak side. He's going to have to play Scion. He's going to lose, but it's about how hard he loses. And he was picking the Scion into these dominant tops, and he wasn't losing. He was up in CS, he was up in gold, he was valuable. He was able to take this quote-unquote weak side pick, especially the Scion, and was outclassing our best top laners on this pick. So I am now much less scared about this Scion pick for Bol than I would have been even 2 weeks ago, as the Kai'Sa and the Ezreal are the bans away from Rebella. These have been, we saw them both last split against Pain, very, very proficient on them, and the Rakan, the choice for Red. So maybe a Trimby support focus on one side and an AD carry focus on the other.
Fair enough. I think Trimby to Samus is that sort of super scary part about K-Stars. As much as we talk up Doom, as much as Frosty has been omnipresent on the map for Red this last weekend, Trimby and Samus still have higher kill participation. So they're working together better, more, and they're trying to reduce the roaming. Problem is, it's game one, Trajan. Even with the Rakan ban, you still got the likes of, the Leonas, the Alistars, the Rels, the Nautos. There's just so many other roaming champions. Heck, if you really want to smooth, there's Bard. Granted, weirdly enough, Trimby actually hasn't played Bard this split. He should. It feels like it's his style of champion, but instead it's Frosty who's whipped it out 4 times already and might do it again this game.
Yeah, I believe it's Frosty's most played as we see the Senna come out for Morteus. Now, I don't know if we've seen that for him this split. Rebella we have, but the Frosty or Morteus has had a bit more of a narrow pool, obviously more or less by choice, whereas Rebello has been the one with a much wider selection. I think 11 unique AD carries so far in this split, despite the relatively low number of games. So we will need to see what the answer for Rebello is going to be here. The main kind of shared picks between these guys is Yunara, Corki, and Kai'Sa, and they're all banned. Sen has been taken away, so I'm wondering what the choice for Rebello is going to be. They could do with a bit of late game, I will say. They've got a Rumble, Talia, Pantheon. If this goes late into Senna, Sion, we got to get through that somehow.
Alternatively, you could just index even harder into the early game, right? And just try and smash early. And that was the pick. True. I was thinking of Trajan, right? Like, you've already got the sort of Rumble set up with the Rel. You just want a little bit more damage to kind of smash the game and roll as fast as you can. Misfortune can do that. It is a very high-risk pick, though, especially into the likes of the Wukong, the Annie, the Scion. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to punish the immobility that comes down when you use bullet time. So as good as the pick would have been, it does feel like Red, rather than kind of gambling away the first game right from the get-go, they've opted for a little bit more safety with the Jhin. The Jhin scaling is still an issue, though. There is a side on the other side, and Wukong does get free armor. So I don't know how I feel about this as sort of a late-game insurance policy.
Yeah, if we're trying to smash the early game, Jhin tends to be more of a sit-back pick, generally in the lane. Of course, Senna, not necessarily the hugest bully. We'll see what the pairing is with the support. That will affect it quite a lot. If it's just going to be a standard Alistar, an anti-rel pick, but we're not necessarily expecting, I think, either of these bot duos to completely bulldoze the other. They're not necessarily those kind of bot lanes, right? We've got plenty of bulldoze bot lanes, and these aren't one of them. So the Jhin is just going to be kind of quietly going into the mid game, and then you're trying to very specifically target select only really two of the enemy champions, which is Annie and Senna. And I feel like we may have taken a little bit of the power and overall damage profile out for Red, and they might end up lacking as the game stretches on.
Sure, but I will say I do think this is a bit of a bulldoze ball lane, Trajan. I see a bull, and your description of it makes me think we might be dozing. We'll kind of see how that one goes there.
Yeah, that's the new mean of bulldoze, is just a sleeping cow bot lane. Is
yes. Where's the Zoe? We need her back to put people to put the god to sleep.
Keep it out of this game.
Kakaze's got a really good Zoe though. Actually.
Yeah, he does. He literally does. Yeah, carrying the spirit of Tinones onto the Rift still, as we sadly cannot see the man himself. As we'll get onto the Rift now. RMC drafts in, context now in. VKS Red. What are we feeling on this series? Who is tugging your fancy? Who do you think we're going to be crowning champion at the end of today's games?
Okay, so here's the thing. Normally, I actually like K-Star's draft. I think it's a much more LTA South style draft. Very simple, easy to execute, right? It's a team fight composition, start to finish. Even having the Senna with a little bit less damage is fine. When you've got the Wukong, when you've got the Annie on the other side of things. But Red's comp is interesting because while they do lack late game damage, what they do actually have is range. Every single champion, barring the Rel, can participate from a screen, from 2 screens, from 3 screens away. So Red will not be playing sort of the standard team fight style. I want to see Red play a much faster macro-based game where they're just punishing, any sort of person's split pushing, slow things down, break up the fights as much as possible, and kind of poke with it. So there are ways for Red to play. The threshold of execution is just much, much higher. I'm not going to predict the series score right off the first game, but I will say this. If Red can pull this comp off, I think they can win the series.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are so momentum-based. VKS have admitted as much in interviews, and Red, you can see by the way they play, and we're getting into a 5v5 at level 1 in Game 1, RMC. Red so far in control, but the health difference fairly equal across the side. Morteus, of course, walking away with a free stack or two is going to be happy enough with that. Rebello trying to cancel some backs with a Jhin W, and overall nobody dies. I thought we were going to flip potentially the whole series at level 1 in Game 1, given, as I said, the momentum power for both of these teams. You completely fluff a Game 1 level 1 5v5, and you might just mental boom for the rest of the afternoon.
This is crazy, and you love to see it, right? This is the aggression that you want to see from 2 of the top teams, and I think it's not for lack of trying that nobody dropped. I think it's lack of damage at level 1 that both these comps kind of have, which kind of allowed everybody to walk away. But it does show how eager these teams are to get into it. And now if we're talking about the early game and wanting to make action happen, it does heavily favor Red candidates. Unfortunately for VKS with their composition, Wukong doesn't really come online until level 6. Annie, they offloaded a lot of her damage from her ultimate to her basic abilities, but she's still not really a kill threat till she hits that level 6, and well, Senna will check back in 30 minutes. So you're looking at Red instead, where Rumble wins lane, Pantheon's incredibly strong early, and Jhin has a decent amount of burst. Now, not enough to kill straight up in the 2v2, I don't think, but if there's any sort of gank from Doom, there are multiple lanes here that can look for kills.
Yeah, we can see some decent trading going on in bot and mid lane specifically, and with Doom on the Pantheon, be interested to see how much impact this jungler can have. Originally was a player that kind of felt like nothing special, to be honest. Originally promoted into the previous iteration of this Red lineup with Grevdar on the table, with a similar kind of approach to the game. And now with this refreshed Red lineup, with even more CD players, Doom has really come into his own, has started to shine. It's not been perfect necessarily, but he does seem to have been unlocked in a similar way to players like Bull have for VKS. These rosters are really bringing the best out of both of their teams.
And frankly, I actually prefer Doom on these sort of more aggressive champions where he's not just playing utility. Like, he's got a great Sejuani. He still falls back on it from time to time. And he's great at facilitating his team. But I actually think Dasam is just a better facilitator. Oh my goodness, we were under turret.
Under the turret, has to flash away, and the rat emote comes up from Kaze. Very appropriate. He's not going to try and chase him down, but Miryu has to be kept on his toes right now.
And look, one turret shot does not mean the end of the lane. In fact, it doesn't really change things much in terms of being able to just CS. But I do think it's a bit of a mental advantage. And between Kaze and Miryu, this sort of featured matchup we have between the two best mid laners in LTA South, these sort of small differences could be the difference between who gets ganked first, who gets kills, and who can really snowball these lanes. For now, though, both junglers actually ignoring mid. They're looking down the bot side instead.
Red trying to hard commit. They're going to get the stun onto Trimby with a flourish to come through. Stun up from Pantheon, gets the flash from the Alistair. Big damage down onto Trimby. We'll have to back away. Samus watching and waiting. Is on vision. The Red fully aware of what's going on right now.
Okay, Doom just hiding there. I don't think they're aware. Okay, now they should know that Doom is there, having spotted the two sort of wards coming down. Both junglers have to cancel recalls as the bot laners are still getting real hypey with this.
Yeah, both the junglers like checking their watches, looking to go and get their first back off, and the bot laners are scrabbling at each other, baring fangs. And they're like, guys, chill, please, I want to buy a longsword.
And I almost feel like it's on Red to need that pressure on the bot side, because Morteus and Trimby, they both have heals. Both Senna and Alistair have heals that can come through and sustain them through the lane, whereas Jhin and Rel, they don't. So if you get the junglers involved and force recalls, that benefits the Jhin Rel. If you don't, look at the slow Whittle coming down.
Frosty wants to go in. Trimby just going with the knockback away. Takes a tower shot as well. VKS are just magnetizing these tower shots in the early game.
But they don't care. Trimby and Morteus are okay with taking turret shots. They could just stick around and actually heal back up anyway. So I'm actually quite surprised that they're going to back all the way off and look for a recall. Frosty. Oh, I thought Trimby was going to go behind and try to hit Frosty.
Yeah, that would have been spicy if he'd gone for it, but chose not to try and attempt that play. As you can see, Bolt having enjoying the Scion life in that top side. FNB, of course, the last in the string of premium top laners that Bolt has had to take down. Morteus loses the cleanse, in fact. Rebello and Frosty on point with the CC chains here.
That top side, it feels like a bit of a fat, just the usual, like watching San get shoved into turret is fine. It's not a wet noodle fight exactly, but it's kind of like watching your noodles cooked al dente. Like, you got to keep an eye on it, but
yeah,
not the most interesting thing for now.
Don't forget about it. Yeah, more of a wet noodle slapping on a brick wall. If eventually the wall is going, the mortar is going to be eroded by time and the slight moisture, but you can't forget it forever, or the wall will come down.
Oh, we're talking about wet noodles, and it's literally just a flame spitter going off from FNB right there.
It's actually a bit more of an intimidating actuality. It's like a flamethrower in your face. We're like, oh, it's a wet noodle, bro. It's fine.
But FNB, I do think we should talk about him a little bit. He did win MVP yesterday after a stellar performance where I remember in game one.
In game one.
Yeah, that was cyberbullying. Like that, 4 kills. Granted, it wasn't all solos, but still, nevertheless, a lot of it was coming from FNB, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the critical one here. Frosty just gets spotted out. We'll take a little bit of a poke, but not hugely significant. I'm surprised Miryu actually burning the Tibbers like that. You knew that Desames and Trimby weren't going to be able to get in, that Kaze was fully aware of the presence of a jungler and a support nearby, but Miryu just wants to get lane prio, drop in the ultimate at level 6, just kind of get control, force Kaze back so that he's got to walk back without teleport, lose maybe a wave.
Yeah, the standard Talia build path here, coming out with Tears and Null Magic Mantle even just to take the sting out of that Annie ultimate. There was just not enough purchase to get that one really pushed out. They'll simply head back to wave. All the lanes more or less even. Even ball up in that top side, soaking up a decent number of CS under his own tower. Bot lane really is the only major difference here, with Rebello starting to open up a lead, and they have been pushing Morteus in pretty aggressively. They're going in for another chain. CC is here. Morteus takes a little bit down. Rebello looking for that 4th shot. Can't quite get it connected. Morteus just, he heals it all back up because Senna Alistair lane. So there we are.
Yep, and we kind of touched on the fact that, with the Senna Alistair lane, you really can sit back and just kind of poke and out-sustain. And the last time we saw this bot lane, the CS was actually pretty even, and we saw Morteus and Trimby take a interesting back timing. I'm actually surprised that they've ended up so far behind in CS, because that 12 CS advantage, 12 CS, 13 CS advantage really just popped up since they last backed, which is pretty huge. And Rebello and Frosty are going to be very, very happy with this. They've got a pretty good burst at 6 as well.
Caught up by
He's
the
got flash,
stun.
he should be
Samus
fine.
has an ult as well. There's no other teammates for Red, but in comes Doom, but he's flashed away from him. Doom looking for the stun, draws the attention of the Wukong, and now in comes Frosty up the river, but Trimby and Morteus have the first move, first blood for Miryu. Now Rebello abandoned on bot side, has to flash himself away, but a flashing by Trimby follows. In comes the CC, Frosty's there for the stuns, gonna get the burst down on the Senna. Can they get the trade back in the any carry? They can't! And VKS come out huge across that play. They go straight to the feet of warfare.
Yeah, just across the board. Cade just collapsed faster. And great play from them. I feel like Kaze was thinking, okay, hoping maybe I can try and make a cute flash somewhere over a wall or something. But he ends up moving away from Doom. Doom can't help him. His bot lane zoned out. And Cade, this was more what I expected when we saw the bot side. Morteus and Trimby getting pressure, getting prio, making sure that people can't help out. And Cade, they split Red up, divide, and conquer.
Yep, great start for Cade. Certainly what they needed, especially in that mid-jungle duo, to get that one off right. You see the leads now sitting for them, and Red certainly not down and out, but 1,000 gold down now, and they will instead move up to the Grubs to try and pick that one up. The Samus on the other side of the map likely not to contest it. The Hextech Drake is also live. We'll see if VKS wants to use that prior for it, but you can see the replay of this last scrap.
And there were multiple times Kaze could have flashed, right? Like right here, you've got a wall you could get over. Sure, you know, you'd probably still die, but at least you burn a flash. Instead, you kind of don't really cost them anything whatsoever. Miru's more than happy to run you down with the initial lead they got. Doom in the jungle as well, kind of just grand star falling to his own demise. And I want to highlight to you in the minimap that didn't get shown. Okay, now they'll show it. The fact that Frosty and Rebello tried to move first, and they kind of had prio in lane, but when it comes down to sort of the all-in, you're seeing the sustain advantage kind of win through for Morteus and Trimby, the heal as well, and they just zone out Rebello, and they didn't need to win the fight, so them getting the kill on Rebello was just icing on the cake, and really good use of cycling through those summoners that came through with the heal, with the barrier.
You can see Rebello with the full shot ready, animation half started, but can't get that last auto off for the trade, as the Cade fans, the Guerreros watching, go wild for their start for their team. As we said, both heavily momentum-based teams, and a start like that for VKS is just what the Doctor ordered. But FNB, we can still see comfortably laning against the Scion. As I say that, though, we're dropping TPs, we're hard committing. Now he has a flash to use. Trimby and Miryu come through, he drops the red carpet, but everybody piles in, and there's just nowhere left to go.
And meanwhile, Morteus in mid lane as well, so it's not like Cade are really dropping that much CS by allowing Miryu to TP into this bot lane and now kind of just pound away at this turret if he wants to try and get a plate. Instead, they're just trying to zone control, remove that ward for now. Cade, once again, they're just collapsing faster, better. They're playing more as a team, which I think really suits them, and it's good news. When you've got a teamfight composition, if your team looks this coordinated, that's massive. The mid game is going to look even better.
Frosty has been very aggressively contesting this bot tri-brush in the face of two opponents. Doom, Rebello now coming down from the jungle, and they want to try and avoid losing this dragon for nothing, it seems. Bowls headed back up top lane, still has a flash and TP if needed, but VKS, they're more expecting a play. They're trying to get that pick before they start the objective.
Okay, and they might find it as Red. Doom is sat on top of the board. He's clearing it, so he knows it's there, but he doesn't know where VKS is.
Now he's seen them, and in comes the CC chain again. The Pantheon with no flash left, and the CC is just too much. Jungler down, 5 kills to none for Cade.
I just feel like there's a fire sale or something going on right now. Cade are like, okay, buy one dragon, get one kill free. It's just that easy. And Red, they just look kind of lost. Like, I appreciate that Doom is trying to make moves happen, but it's backfired twice now. He's 0-2. And as good as Pantheon is in the current meta, where he shines and where he excels is being proactive and making those aggressive moves, looking for those ganks, looking for early skirmishes. We're getting past the early phase of the game. We're looking at 12 minutes where Cade might want to start grouping up. The moment first brick goes down, that's when I think Red are going to be in a lot of trouble. So for Cade, they're waiting for Herald potentially to break that first turret open. And for Red, that first Herald feels like a watershed moment. That is the fight they need to win. They need to get Herald. You can lose members on that take, but you need to make sure that Cade don't take the Herald and take your first brick.
Yeah, and we do have Red. We'll see a replay of that fight first, actually. It seems like Cade stuff's just in their heads, man. They've got such good preparation and setting up these plays, tracking where Red's going to be before they even know it themselves, it seems.
And it's kind of just good ward vision and just knowledge of where teams are going to want to be approaching from. They had a ward on the other entrance as well, so they knew that the only way Doom's coming in is kind of from behind that dragon pin. That's why they were already set up in that area. We've got wards everywhere else, and when Doom's clearing it, he's in trouble. Red, though, they're not giving up just yet. They're still trying to pressure up, pick up CS where and how they can. They still have multiple semi-globals they can use, even with the Jhin, the Curtain Call, and the Equalizer. They have very long range as well. So it's a big question of what they can find in the meantime. Bull looking for Kaze there.
Big chunk on the CC with the ultimate there.
Wow.
Kaze, the defensive seismic shove walks away. He's going to get the plate as well, but Bull's happily to hold on to that lane, it seems.
That's crazy. Bull just gets back in lane and just half health Kaze. That's a tank, by the way. Kaze's tiers, they're going to be stacking real fast the way this game's going.
Yes, we're going to be likely just chipping away. He's going to go for the recall, in fact, just to make absolutely sure. Would love to get that Archangel staff completed, hopefully, on this reset. And he doesn't actually even have it. He's got the TP away without it. So far behind Miryu now. You can see the Malignants plus additional Amp Tomes been on deck for this Annie for a hot minute. And FMB is going to once again take up the mantle of the Sion lane.
Okay, minute and a half for it to try and catch back up. At least they do have items completed in most of the other lanes. FMB, Doom, Rebello, all with their first items. And, you know, that Ghostblade early spike does mean a lot. Same with that Sundered Sky for Doom. Red now in the area, clearing vision out. They want to regain control a little bit over this Herald. For now, though, it's just a straight approach that they have vision on. It's not sort of vision that's going to allow them to necessarily get picks. It's more just vision that allows them to approach the area and see if Cade are in there.
They certainly feel confident of VKS moving into this river. And to see if Red want to contest them, if they have the damage. The front line of Cade is already starting to build with the ultimates that they have. First items coming through. And Cade have been fully in control of this first game. And finally, starting to show us the true destination that has been teased for a couple years now under the stewardship of CL. And Cade Star's ready to look for their first title in so many years. Oh my word, Senna damage even kicks now as well.
Yeah, that's just a static shift too. Usually it's more for the wave clear, but yeah, it's actually kind of hurting Frosty. Well, because Frosty went towards some null magic mantle. It's more magic resistance than actual physical armor damage right now. They're very hyper aware that these Nyx fights, Miryu's probably going to be the one doing the most damage with the magic resistance shred as well from Malignance. But Trajan, to go back to your point about, you know, CL and Cade, this was the project. They brought CL in back when it was still CB LoL. It was originally supposed to be a 5-year project. They were not expecting the merge. And Cade Stars, Vivo Cade as an organization is the second oldest org in all of Brazil. Right, the oldest being Pain Gaming, and then Vivo Cade came in back in 2013. They won one championship in all their time, and that was back in 2014. So it's been more than a decade, Trajan, and the Warriors are hungry for this. They really want it. And CL, he promised at the beginning of the year, I will give you one trophy. I don't know which split, but we are in split 3. This is the last split, and he's gotten the closest he has since 2024, and he's looking to lock this one in, and it's looking good right now. 5-0 with a strong team fight composition. This Herald could make or break this game right here.
Time running out for VKS to deliver on that promise, and time running out for Red in this game to keep control of it, or it might slip out of their hands. Bit of damage down onto Miryu from Kaze, but again, not even as much as the Sion could do, to be fair, in that bot lane. Both top laners still with a TP to come in here. Red, they want to contest. Frosty especially has been finding so many picks and CC setups, but just has not been able to make them work. Another seismic shove onto Trimby, and Cade Stars now maybe being given a little pause around this Herald.
Yeah, but Trimby, I mean, tanking that without even touching the Unbreakable, that's a decent sign. The base, not so much. Is Cade going to give this one up for free? They have a ward in there, so Trimby cancels his back for now. Bull has teleport, has his unstoppable onslaught, and here's the TP coming through from Miria.
This will be a long, slow take by Doom if that's the choice. Rebello now stepping in. VKS coalesce on the top side. Trimby getting sped up by the Senna. Doesn't quite find the knock-up. Knockback. There goes the Unbreakable. TP's in from both top sides. FMB with the red carpet to lay down. Could completely sort VKS as the Herald is taken. Rebello drops the ultimate. Red thinking about a little more. Bowl completely untouched. The ultimate from Rumble comes down, and the Senna as well to fire back. There's Miryu in with the added damage. Disservice to follow. And it's a meat grinder for VKS in the river. Red get 4 for 0'd.
Mortanius heard Rebello got a penta yesterday, and I was like, nah, I'll take the triple today. FMB might be in trouble as well. Stun runs down.
Oh, where are we? Why are we over here, my buddy? What are we doing up there by the tower? Miryu and Trimby pick up the final piece, and the extended ace locked in as Red are yet to get a single kill in 17 minutes.
You know, Trajan, have you heard the saying, it's better to int together than to play a part.
Yeah.
Yeah, the FNB just exemplified that. He really took that to heart. His entire team died, and FNB just wanted the quick recall with the rest of them, showing solidarity. Trajan, we hyped up the Herald as being such an important factor for Cade to blow this game open, to take these turrets. Well, guess what? Getting 5 kills, that's going to do a very similar thing. 5.6 thousand gold up at this point. Sure, they don't have the Herald for a quick turret take, but they don't need that with this gold advantage. They can just siege up as well, and what amazing patient play from them. Red, I respect what they did. They took the Herald, but they probably shouldn't have chased after they got the Herald. Just take it and leave.
Yeah, you could see just the absolute nothing that was being dealt to Bo by the Rebello ultimate chasing down there. This is lethality Jhin. It's even more bad at killing tanks than normal Jhin is. There's just no way for them to punch through Bo right now. Not when Katze doesn't have his Leandries, not when Rebello's going this build, not when Doom has been so effectively shut out. They will use the Herald to crack top. They're actually going to go for the double charge as well. Rebello stepping aggressive before he gets knocked up. Trimby on the side pulled in with the Magnet Storm, headbutts away that rail. Second charge secured. FNB looking for a little bit more on the ulted Alistar. Redemption comes down to keep him healthy. Frosty knocked up now. All of Red piling in. They want that first kill, and they will find it. But where's the response? The Samus in the backline, flanking on the carries, and suddenly it's turned on its head. VKS, they hold fast. They get fed even more kills. And the desperation dive by Red Canids just digs them deeper into the hole.
Unfortunately for Doom, trying to wish upon a falling star didn't work. He didn't even go up, much less get the falling part of it. And Red, I appreciate what Red was trying to do. I do think that's actually not the wrong call to go for that top side play. It's just Cade is so far ahead right now that even in a 3v4 situation, they were still able to answer back. They were able to stall, and they were able to find their own way back to turn the tides. We're getting the replay all the way back from the Herald. And look, again, the Herald take was great, but this was greedy at best. And look how little damage Bo takes. To me, that's the warning sign. When you unleash the entire curtain call and your 4-shot does nothing to their tank, that's a sign that you shouldn't be fighting this. You have no way of winning this. Look how little damage they took. Trimby takes the most damage, and that's because he was fighting half that fight without Unbreakable Will. So, congrats. You can't even melt through one of the squishier tank engage supports. From here on out, you just don't get to team fight. Here, you need to split push. Here, you need to play the map and Cade. You know, part of me feels like it's a disproportionate outside response when they're already crushing the game. But to be fair, it was their first team fight. It was a clean ace. And this is the grand finals.
It was a stunning combo that they pulled there with the 3-man Mirror stun into Trimby knockup, into the Samus knockup. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And VKS now, 7.5k up, just past the 20-minute mark. This is an absolute clapping in the first game. They've only had time to get 2 dragons, 3 minutes till the next one. And look, that's a gold lead you see when the Nexus explodes.
Sure, yeah, and this is before Baron is even taken, because Baron has now been pushed back to 25 minutes. When Baron gets taken, that's when I think we're really going to see this game accelerate. Frosty has no chill, is getting melted by fire here.
He's got the shield, got the heal. He's going to survive it at least, so that's something. The Samus now waiting for a possible second angle, but Red will at least get their support out of the dodge.
Yeah, but it's looking rough, Trajan. I'm going to be honest. I don't really see Red coming back into this one without a massive throw from Cade. And give Cade credit, they've not been throwing. Kaze, however, does he get out too?
Stunned up, slowed again, got the shield. Mirror steps in for that mid 1v1 matchup. You're not getting away from this one, buddy. Flashes in to lock it down. And the Atakan now almost a sure thing. FNB could look for the TP. Doom could go for some sort of miracle ult steal, but VKS have been clean as a whistle in game 1. They have just not been leaving the gaps open.
Nope, and Doom's not even close enough. Like, yes, he's got a pseudo global, but it's really, really far away. Again, Frosty gets tagged by Miru, but again, focus right now is on Atakan. They're going to let Frosty walk away yet again. Cade, like you've said, playing it very squeaky clean, Trajan. There's just no avenues for it to come back in, and that's why I don't believe that Red can really come back in this game. I think this is one of those where, like, okay, it's a Talker's game 1, right? He's sacking a lot of power picks. We'll let this one go. Mortez the snipe from base. Yeah. Was it needed? No, but they're trying to beat the AD carry, and I appreciate that.
It was hype, though. I'll admit that. It was pretty sick, and you could see FNB just having a chuckle in the player cam. I think Red are not feeling super shook by this. This is one of those games you just write off. They're going to catch on to Trimby right here with the knockground combo, but there's the Alistar ultimate. They can't even get that done. And Frosty ends up paying the price. You can see the smirk on his face as well. Mirror wants a little more. Look for the carries. Gets stunned up. Nice combo, actually. And there's a little bit of punish for Red to get some gold back on their side. But Morteus still harrying them through the jungle. And VKS keep pushing.
Yeah, that's a huge bounty Miru gave over. 600 and change was what he ended up giving over. But Kate don't care. They're so far ahead at this point. And okay, Kaze again over 7.
There's a flash, and we'll have to burn it. But yeah, whenever Red tries to leave the safety of a tower, it seems like BKS have a goon squad waiting around the corner for them.
I gotta criticize Kaze a little bit. I mean, I guess he's just limit testing at this point, and they're just getting ready for the next game. But he's the one who's been kind of overcommitting, pushing out a lot, and kind of getting punished for it. Frosty as well to a lesser extent. Like, Frosty is a support. It's his job to get out there and get vision. Sometimes if he needs to to die, in order to get that vision, so be it, as long as it's not on a critical objective. And right now, we're still waiting for Baron in 2 minutes. I know Dragon comes up first in 15 seconds. It does not matter. This is Soul Point. I don't think that Soul will be a big factor this game. If we do get it, it's probably just icing up the cake at that point.
Yeah, we're kind of just waiting for VKS to decide when they want to start pushing inhibitors and then wrap up the game with a Baron shortly after that. They have been playing so well around the vision around this bot pit. We saw Frosty trying in vain to get a ward on Atakan for a couple of minutes, it felt like. They've got the pink line where they need it, and Red just cannot get their way through this vision line to see an eye on the objective as the rest of the map just crumbles around them. Meanwhile, VKS still have extra vision on the other side of the map, tracking where the jungler is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Red will go for like one big last Hail Mary at the rate this game is going, because yeah, they can't walk in there, so like just go for all the globals coming in at the same time. Maybe you try and catch the backline. Nope, but it's Trimby finding the engage instead.
Trimby's in. The Sentinel doesn't get the damage, but Sion rocketing into the backline. Doom going for the deep dive, but there's just no assistance. Miryu with the ult and Tipper's just taking down Rebello. He's so low, but he will survive. Only Doom left on the floor after that play.
You know what? I salute Doom for doing that, at least. Like, Doom kept the rest of his team alive. It wasn't the sort of full send that I was kind of hoping to see, the last stand moment, but he's keeping Red literally in the game, because the game continues to go on. Kate can't quite crack the base, but it's 30 seconds till Baron Trajan, and that's like what we said was the main focus and the main timer we were watching. Red currently has vision in the area, but what can they do with it? 10,000 gold behind at 25 minutes. That's between 20 to 25% gold difference between these teams. Item-wise, that's almost a full item.
So given that VKS are almost certainly a lock for this game one, we'll wait and see what Baron plays bring us, if there's potential throws to be found, but for Red's composition, it did feel like they lost one fight in the bottom river, and the game became entirely unplayable. How did we need to operate this? I mean, I assume Frosty's going to escape. Good stuff. There we go. But it does feel... What do we need to see from Red to stop this game so quickly devolving into just a seeming impossibility? Or I guess we'll have to wait for, for the bot lane to just get murked once again. That's fine. Doom is also going to get stunned up. Trimby's going to follow him down. He's got the stun stacking up. Jasama's actually going to commit the flash and the ultimate just to be sure. But RMC, what do we need to see from Red this game?
At least we didn't have to wait too long. That was pretty fast.
Yeah.
This game, there's nothing we can't see, Trajan. It was kind of over the moment they messed up the Herald. The first fight was kind of bad enough on the bot side, but when they committed to a full 5v5 on that top side after getting Herald, that's when you knew things were kind of done. We talked about it. If they can win with this drop, Red is taking a much more complex, tougher to execute composition. And if they can win with it, then yeah, I think they're good for the series. Them losing is not that big a surprise. Them losing by this big a margin is not even that big a surprise to me, because in the South, we're much better at team fighting than we are anything else. This was a more complicated sort of side lane composition with a lot of global and macro. Bo finally brings the big hammer down on Kaze. We saw this, was it 10 minutes ago, where Bo half health Kaze. Fast forward 10,000 gold in 10 minutes. It's 100-0 when Bo gets on top of Kaze.
Yeah, so but perhaps just a misjudging of a play, a bad judgment call on when you can fight, when you should fight. Red walk themselves into their own demise in that top river, and VKS have been swift and merciless in the punish. 26 minutes on the clock. We're 3 dragons deep for them. All the outer towers have now been collected, and the Baron is coming online. I say it's coming online. It's going to come offline because they've already had it for a minute or so by now. So they are just sweeping through the map, picking up everything, and leaving no space. So for Red, as you said, it's more like going to be we're looking at next game. We're thinking about what we need to do next time. In the Fearless draft, of course, we'll remove the Bowl Scion. We'll remove that safety pick that he has once again handled the explosive enemy top laner super well on, and takes away some of the easy playmaking perhaps from Miriam on the Annie.
Yeah, and to be fair, again, we looked at these champions. They don't necessarily feel like the signature champions of Red. And Talker is known for doing this in full fearless, especially in best of fives. He knows he's got at least 3 games to kind of play around. So in game 1, you just kind of pick sort of generically OP champions or meta champions that aren't exactly the signature champions of your players, get them out of the way. And for Cade, they're burning through a lot of the strong pool as well. Now we've got Pantheon and Wukong taken out. If we're talking about the Triangle Triumvirate, there's only Xin Zhao left. And Xin Zhao is not your typical team fighter. He doesn't facilitate the team fight. He's actually about breaking up the team fight and stopping the range damage from coming through. More of a tanky frontline or a disruptor. The Annie is gone, something that counters a lot of Kaze specialty picks. Things like the Akali, the Zed, the Assassin-esque picks, and Sion. There's no other champion quite like him. At best, you're looking at maybe Ornn to do something similar, but Ornn doesn't scale to infinity either. Maybe Cho'Gath, who can scale up, but isn't as tanky, can't lane quite as well.
Yeah, for sure. We know that FMB has been pulling some mean Cho'Gath games as well in this split, so potentially a contesting angle right there as the inhibs do topple VKS using their Baron with pretty high level of efficiency right now. They're not even going to wait for the third one. They're just going to start working on the Nexus, and Red just don't do any damage. They've got a stun on Tamiru. They can try and burst him down. There is enough damage for Frosty to get it over the line. Answered back now on the backside. Kaze trying to do what he can. Rebello using the safety of the towers as Doom tries to scrabble his way back to the tower. Knocks Bolt into the fountain, which doesn't even do anything to him. And meanwhile, the Nexus exposed. VKS sweep aside Red in game number 1.
I don't remember the last time I saw that, where somebody gets knocked in the fountain like that and is happy, unbothered, literally being moisturized.
Nothing
and is
happens.
Fine. Yep, Bolt walked away with full health after that shield came through. Now, we do see Cade, they got their win, they're walking off. A big contrast to their reactions after they won that first team fight. After the first team fight, they're all hyped, they're ready to go. But after the game, they're ice cold because they know this is only game 1 in a best of 5 Trajan. There are at least 2 more games they need to play, and they also know that this is not what Red look like at their best. And sure, maybe Red just flop. That'd be a disappointment. I don't think you can bet on that, count on that, nor play as if that's going to be the case.
Yes, VKS now extending their playoff record to 7-1, 3-0 Furiate, 3-1 Pain, and a great start against Red coming through that lower bracket that you highlighted earlier, RMC. Red, they weren't on signature picks. The bot lane looked relatively standard. They were playing aggressive. They were trying to get a lead. They were doing a decent job right there. But the mid jungle kind of collapsed pretty quickly. After getting that first kind of mistake punish on Tamiru, suddenly Desamus was the one punishing flash timers and really bearing down on Kaze on that Talia. And then we just did no damage to Sion. We had a Sion and we had no one who could hurt him. So yes, unfortunate for Red, but as you said, part of the Talker's playbook. We'll see. Maybe next game's draft will be completely different, and perhaps the layout of the game as well.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I think there are some good takeaways from Red. As you said, their laning was fine. Rebello and Frosty were winning out early. Granted, it wasn't to a Senna, who does tend to drop CS here and there. FNB was winning out pressure-wise as well, and Kaze looked fine in Tamiru. So the hands for Red are fine. It's more, I think, about their draft in the mid-game. And until we actually see a proper draft come through from them, I'm not going to get too hyped. But I am going to be very hyped for Cade and what they did achieve in game 1, because it did look very clean, Trajan. And it still comes back to mind when you said, it was just so clean, there's no avenues back in. If Cade can continue playing this game, this style of game, then the early game might just determine this entire series. Whoever can get a lead, keeps that lead and just strangles out their opponents.
Absolutely could go that way. Let's go to a quick break for now, everybody. We'll run an ad to get rid of the pre-rolls, and we'll be back with game number 2 of the LTA South Split 3 Grand Finals. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to the LTA South Twitch channel. We have had a swift game one with Vivo Cade Stars completely dismantling the Red Canids composition without any issue whatsoever. Now, RMC, you did queue up before the series kind of got underway, that this is not just the players, it's not just 5v5 in this event. The coaches have been hugely impactful to both of these teams.
Yeah, and specifically for Red, it's sort of the revival for them to come through, because up to this point, Red has been a very interesting organization. First, back when franchising, it was Titans Red. And then back in, was it 2023, 2024, it became Aegis's Red when Titan left to go to Paying Gaming. But throughout all of this, it was under Coelho, who was an amazing coach, by the way. He did miracles with a Red roster that could not work together very well with any other coach. Nelson tried to step in, it fell apart. Every time Coelho would come in, pick up the pieces, and make it work. But this year, they switched to Talkers. This split, they switched to Talkers. It's under Talkers that Doom, Kaze, Rebello were all promoted up from their academy roster. And as you can see, specifically, their team fighting got way better. Their kill-death ratio went from 1.05 to 3.4. That's like a threefold increase. Their win rate shot through the roof. Their goal difference at 15 increased. Their first blood went up. So all their kill stats went up. Interestingly, though, their first tower, Dragon and Baron rates didn't significantly change. So Talkers, really good at the fighting, very, very much Brazilian style. Less so at the objectives, and I feel like coming into this matchup against Cade, where Cade has been dominating a lot of the sort of map objective stats, this weakness might be coming back to bite them a little bit.
I do think that is one of the coolest things about this iteration of Red Canids for me, is how different it is while keeping the same spirit at the core of it, which is quite frenzied, it is scrappy, they do love to fight, they love to go for the outplay, and it is very of the CBLOL, of the LTA South. Red does feel very quintessential of this region, but it's sharper and it's kind of a little bit more cunning. It's not quite as loose cannon as it has been. They're not completely out of that area, it must be said, but they certainly are moving in the right direction. The stats tell that story, and Talkers going from way back in the past, bringing them their first title in 2017, potentially being able to bring them back to the top 8 years later, having gone through the player and the coach kind of cycle, is certainly a compelling story that I hope that all the Red fans would certainly love to see completed here after this series. Now we're into the draft for game number 2, and we have kept the Unara ban, we've kept Aurora, we've now added a Silas ban for VKS. So they are thinking, all right, they've got their Talia game out of the way, now they're going to be dipping into the Kaze specials, and we're going to start taking those away.
Yep, now that Annie's off the board, these are safer picks for them to go for. It's also interesting that Red gets side selection in game 2. Cade Stars got it in game 1, and Cade opted for Red. Red is opting for Red. So instead of the blue side prio and full fair list that we often see, it's actually red side prio and counter pick prio that both these teams are looking for. Varus, of course, being slammed by Morteus right away. Despite the nerfs to lethality Varus, it still feels like that is the preference of choice for a lot of these teams. He is the second strongest AD carry on patch, barring Unara, who is permabanned, it feels like right now.
Yeah, it is interesting as well to see that this Red Canid side have chosen Red here, given that VKS have a pretty similar win rate with both Blue and Red side. They're just really good. And then Red actually have a significantly better win rate with Blue, about 15% higher win rate on Blue. They are much more successful on that side of the map, but they have not chosen it here, even after getting blasted so hard in game 1. They're confident in this strategy. They've gone for the Jarvan Orianna to round out that mid jungle, so it is going to be still a very strong combination between the two, not necessarily one that Kaze can solo carry on. He really wants to work in tandem with the team still in the second game. That's left the Zin up, and that triumvirate you mentioned in that first game has been snapped up by Desamus, no problem.
Yeah, and I am a little bit concerned about the Orianna pick. Orianna has come back up in priority. She's really safe in terms of laning, can be a bit of a lane bully. She doesn't really have any terrible matchups. But like I said, it's not a champion with a lot of agency, and Kaze looks best when he's got agency. A lot of it, I guess, will come down to how well Doom can set up with him and get that ball in there, especially with Desamus being able to knock them back. Kali for Miryu. Trajan, one thing we kind of didn't touch on was the champion pools for both Miryu and Kaze. Both of them have great hands. But while Miryu has opted more for team fighting and more to set his team up this particular split, Kaze has been on the Assassins. But it feels like it slipped our mind that Miryu was the guy who was playing Akali last split. He was one of the guys who brought it back in right from the get-go. And this time, picking it in this game. Great pick into Orianna. And secondly, Shadow Ban against Kaze for the entire series.
Yeah, I had 3 picks that I was looking out for in this mid lane matchup today. Azir, Silas, and Akali. We've seen both of the first 2 banned, and now the third one has been picked. Miri's going to be the one getting his hands on it. Rebello going over to the Corki. This has been a champ that, honestly, I think a lot of LTA South AD carries are struggling to get the most out of, except for Rebello. He performs very well in this pick. It's one of, if not his most picked, I think, in this split. So I'm confident in this pick in his hands. It is going to give him that strong burst into that mid game. But going into the Varus, which just does crazy damage at all stages of the game, because this champion is just insane, to be honest, I feel. So we'll see how that match pans out, depending on what the support matchups are. Now, we're into the second ban phase, and we are still focusing on top lane, though. Jack's been the first taken away from Red.
And that's interesting to me that Red's focusing on the top lane picks, because they get counterpick, and they didn't even counterpick the mid lane either. They opted for the early Orianna. Yeah, so they got counterpicked in the mid lane by the Akali, if anything else. So yeah, we'll see if that's worth it or not. The support also not being pinched by Cade. So we're going to see the full gamut of all the engaged supports still available. Besides the Reln Alistair that's been played, there's still the Rakan, the Nautilus, the Leona. I would like to see for Cade actually to remove the Rakan. I think Rakan would be very strong for Red candidates at this point, and they do get first pick in the second phase. Rakan would be able to follow up and give another secondary sort of ball delivery option for the Orianna. And Rakan can often get into fights and get back in time to peel for your AD carry, which is particularly important for Corki, who is very short-ranged.
Yeah, both Trimby and Frosty have been doing major work on this pick throughout this split as the top lane bans continue to come through. I feel like we are spiraling down into an FMB Cassante pick with all these kind of bruises being taken away. That's not to knock the Cassante pick. FMB is one of our few tolerable Cassante players, and Bull has managed to actually put some good Cassante games on the board now as of late with this glow up that he's had, and the Ambessa taken away as well. We've basically stripped out almost the entire Bruiser cadre here, but RMC, what are you thinking? What's left open up there?
Cassante, and I'm thinking for Bull, actually, because now that Jax is gone, Ambessa is gone, and Gwen is gone, those are the picks that we often see being actually played into the Cassante as something that can match. So they might force Red into actually blind picking the Cassante now and getting counterpicked again.
If we hit the Bull Cassante, maybe it's okay. We're gonna have FMB taking that one, so it is being picked up. I was wondering if this is now the Camille answer, which we have seen used by Bull, and we've seen it in the past used by FMB, and now you make that face, RMC, but Bull's Camille was kicking. It was good, was it not, in that series?
It was. It does, but it's really conditional. Like I don't think that's really the option you want to go for if you've got other picks you can go for. Gnar would be an interesting one for Bull. He's actually not much of a Gnar player at all, and at least when I remember him from the past when he played Gnar. Granted, this was old Bull before his glow up this split. He did used to struggle a lot with managing the Gnar bar and being the right sort of Gnar as he approached team fights. The laning should be fine, but the team fight's going to be interesting, especially when his team just wants chaos. Like, they don't need a front to back. They just want Red split as much as possible.
Yeah, so this does leave Red with the final support counter pick for Frosty. I was, by the end, expecting Frosty's pick and then Bull Cassante into the FMB Camille answer. However, we have instead gone it this way around, so we'll see how FMB can deal with the range melee matchup. Nico slammed a very high priority support by basically everyone at this point, and Frosty might go back to the most played as an answer. And if he is quick on the fingers with the Bard ults, you can take a lot of the sting out of the Nico engage, the Akali ultimate as well. There's a huge amount of work that can be done with Bard in this game, but again, execution very much the focal point, at least for Frosty's support.
I'm just trying to think about the games that we saw yesterday as well, because Frosty did go with the Bard in game 1 against Pain Gaming, and I do recall a couple of moments where we were like, wait, is he that felt a little bit troll, and that's the nature of Bard, right? Like, it is high risk, high reward with the Tempered Fate. Sometimes it can backfire a little bit. I do think it's a comfort pick for Frosty, though. He is certainly one of the most prolific Bard players in the region. Surprisingly, Trimby has actually not touched Bard this split, despite having that image of an Enchanter player himself. I do think Red, this is a complete 180 from game 1 draft, right? This is simple to execute, straightforward team fighting composition. This is the LTA South bread and butter style composition. You use the Tempered Fate to set up for your Cataclysm, for your ball delivery, to kind of get in there and pop them. You've got the Magical Journey as well for Bard to be able to get a lot of map pressure. So I like what Red have drafted, whereas Cade, they're now gone with the red style draft in game one, where your team fighting isn't quite as strong. If you go head on into this, you're probably going to lose to red. A lot of it relies on Miryu now with the Akali, like it always does. Every time we see an Akali in the South, it's the focal point of the game, because if it does well, it wins the game. If you play it badly, it dies and you're playing 4v5.
Yes, it does tend to demand the attention in positive or negative ways when we lock this champion in, but we have a lot of faith now, a lot of goodwill built up by Miryu so far in this split, and Kaze with perhaps a little bit more to do on the Orianna, but still a tough matchup to play and needs to be able to link up with the team to get the most out of it. I'm a little scared for a potential range disadvantage for Corki Bard into Nico Varus. That is a brutal kind of two-man pit combination with Varus ult, with Nico E and Nico ult. So they have got to be, you know, the vision's got to be clean. They've got to be playing safe around those waves. And that doesn't tend to be the way Rebello and Frosty play out the lane. So we'll see how that 2v2 develops. Because, you know, Morteus and Trimby don't usually play for the dominance, as we said before. But with this combination, I think they could really be a problem for Red here.
Yeah, and Trajan, I don't think this is about the team fight with the Bard. I think it's actually about the lane. Heck, Frosty's even running Electrocute. This is not Unsealed Spell.
Okay.
This is I want to be able to out-trade Nico and Varus early and get some kills. And Corki has a lot of all-in damage as well. Even though they did nerf the Foster's Bomb a while back and kind of shift that power towards the Rockets instead, his laning is still really strong if he can get in range. And I think as a whole, Red's composition is designed to win early with what they've got. Cassante is better in the laning phase, or he's stronger in the laning phase. Into the Gnar, not so advantage anymore because range beating melee. But Orianna should be able to bully out Akali very early on, and it's really when Akali hits level 6 and gets first item that she starts getting kill threat back. If Red play their cards right and Doom's kind of focusing on this bot side of the map, I'd love to see him get some early ganks rolling and snowball from this bot side of the map, leave FNB on an island to just soak pressure.
I love how willing these teams are to spam trades at level 1. We're healing, we're flashing, we're actually dropping both the Frosty Summoners to take the flash away from Miryu. They thought he had him baited in, and it does give that health advantage back to Kaze. So Red really investing in this mid lane matchup right from the get-go.
Yeah, and that is as it should be. Your Orianna's losing the laning phase pre-6. You're in massive trouble. The kill threat from Akali, just from perfect execution alone, it's kind of dicey when you're low on health. So expect to see Miryu, play conservative early on, lose out early, and then really start going for all-in trades closer towards that level 5, level 6 mark. When he actually has some sort of kill threat. Kaze for now, though, just standing menacingly there with the Clockwork passive, daring Miryu to try and step up and see us.
Miryu does achieve that level 2 finally, likely going to be either taking the Shroud to try and protect himself. You're going to see him pop it there as Kaze, again, going to stand and watch for an opportunity. Tags him again with a QW combo, keeps Miryu nice and low. So we see that triple lane stack up as well. Bowl seeming to be using the Gnar decently well early on, using that range advantage. And then Rebello and Frosty pushed up too. So Doom with plenty of options if he wants to try and look for a gank on these pushed up lanes. But maybe Desamis will have some words to say about that.
Yeah, and Morteus and Trimby right from the get-go really shoving that lane, burning mana to push it as fast as they can to hit the level 2 and manage to shove Rebello Frosty under turret to kind of get that small advantage. And it does feel like these small advantages could accrue very quickly, especially when we talk about Doom having J4 looking for early ganks. Well, Xin Zhao can also go for early ganks. And the way they gank is quite different. J4 early on, he's got a bit more CC set up for his team, where Xin Zhao, I think, a little bit more damage of his own and can kind of brute force ganks on lower health lanes. So seeing Morteus and Trimby get that poke down early, that's good setup. Seeing Bull bully out FNB early, that's good setup for potential dives that I think are slightly easier for Desamis to execute.
Kaze gonna get that wave not quite crashed in fact, held in front of the tower. Miryu landing the Shuriken, but takes another dissonance combination and drops low again. Doom just keeping an eye on the situation, heads up to top crab. Desamis already finished off the bottom one, and now maybe looking for a mid 2v2 right now. Again, this could be pretty pivotal. You don't want to let Miryu get rolling. Desamis now is behind the lines. Trimby's coming up too. Frosty is nowhere near. Kaze with a lovely little backstep, avoids giving that damage. Doom there with a combination to start this one off. But here comes Trimby, and now it's just not playable. Bowl coming up to goal keep from topside, and first blood into Desamis' pocket.
And just like that, Kate starts with the early advantage, Trajan. I'm getting flashbacks to game 1 a little bit with how coordinated Kate Stars look. And it's not just the fight itself, which I'm sure we'll get a replay and we can break down later, but it's also the way they collapse. Bull moving first, Trimby moving first. Like, Kate just have more numbers and it gets harder. Here's the replay. And what I want to highlight too is Desamis coming out of Fog of War. Because the wave pushes up, they actually don't see Desamis until he's halfway through the lane. And there's a ward there that Cade had the entire time. So they know where Doom is. Great sidestep from Kaze to not get tagged, even though they actually had full vision of Kaze. But it kind of doesn't matter because the numbers advantage that we were talking about from that early roam up, plus the vision advantage, means that Cade knew from the get-go exactly how far they can go, how much damage they can take. Yes, Miryu and Desamis looked low on health by the end of that play, but they were never really at risk of going down.
Kaze now, of course, going into that tier with the refillable potion, a standard Orianna start, whereas Miryu can start stacking up that damage already. The trades are going to start to hurt even more. Both supports hanging around this mid lane, trying to make sure it lands on their side of the line. Desamis able to lead the charge with that Xin Zhao. Miryu dipping and diving, always threatening, but to Kaze's credit, trades back as good as he gets.
And for Miryu, he's just trying to chunk Orianna as much as he can for that level 6 spike. If you can get Ori down to about a third health, you can just execute her, even without sort of that early Hex Tech alternator and or first item, right? And that's why they're kind of pressuring in as much as possible. Both mid laners had to burn teleport after the last play, so neither of them will be able to get back, get a cheetah recall, get back to full health, and come back to lane with items. So that's why we're seeing so much attention here. Frosty still camping out right now. I don't think he has any real chance of killing Miryu. In fact, Miryu's actually just toying away with Frosty here. Not even walking away, just walking right back to the wave with the Shroud.
Level 6 is achieved for either side. And now the ultimates are ready, but Kaze's managed to top himself back up. The bar charms, the shrines, of course, going to help him in that regard a little bit. FNB now going to have to sit in the Morteus Varus lane. Goes for a little bit of a poke himself, though. Not going to go quietly down here. That's Rebello just farming up against the 1v1 in the Gnar, because Frosty, of course, is living mid lane right now. As Miryu actually has to get over the wall. Frosty looks for the stun, can't find it. The dodges and dives are there. There's a shockwave, and Miryu finds himself on his own, but Kaze needs to get that last Q down. He doesn't have the range. It's a disaster for Red. So much invested, and Miryu still lives.
And Trajan, Miryu didn't even burn Flash. Those were just abilities from Akali. He's still got the flash up and available to use. It does, however, mean that he has to go back to base, so Red at least get priority and control over this dragon. A single Drake, it's not ideal, but it's a start.
It is a start. Now, Desamis is going to try and get into range right here. Knocked up by FNB, in fact. They're going to try and force the play. Kaze is going to come down right here. All out used by the Cassante. Doom finishing off the dragon. Bard portal to get FNB out of there. He's trying to buy some time. A little bit of a heal comes in just in time, but Morteus still tags him with a rain of arrows. And Miryu is back.
No.
Tags onto Doom, hunting him down. Still has, doesn't have the ultimate, I should say, but Kaze trying to get away. Just out of range of the Varus arrow. And Red only lose one, but this time they at least get the dragon for the price.
Frosty's not out of danger yet. There we go. Nice, easy magical journey up the wall. What happened to FNB there, Trajan? I thought he got out with a magical journey. Why was he back over that wall?
I'm not sure, to be honest, what's going on there. The Cassante is hard to track through these fights, I'll be honest. Dipping and diving as he does, and has lost out a little bit more as Bowl is farming up without any real issue. Rebello not really able to stop the Gnar doing this without a support to zone him away. Corki is fairly short range, and Bowl obviously gets that extra HP back from the transformation, as we see. So Gnar scaling up with no issue, as FNB has been set a little behind.
Yeah, and it feels like all of this is kind of costing Red. There's opportunity cost to what they were doing. They swapped FNB out because the matchup was rough, but it's not better for FNB in a 1v2 situation. And unfortunately, Bo was more than happy to kind of cap that out. So this was super weird. FNB going in like this, it felt like he was just trying to zone. So, he was trying... He flashed to take the magical journey, Trajan. He should have just flashed the other way. He was fine. And this ends up making the dragon kind of not worth. If you just get the drag for Red after you blew everything in the mid lane, it's already kind of a costly dragon, but you take it. Because why not, right? You're not losing anything on the other end. But to blow all those sums and then lose a death for that dragon trade, that's not ideal. A lot of teams will favor getting early gold over stacking early dragons. One Drake for one kill is a trade a lot of teams will take on the kill side of it so they can continue to snowball. They're lucky the kill didn't go over to Miryu. If it had, you've got a problem. As it is, it went over to Morteus, which is still a bit of a threat, but Corki can potentially kind of handle that. You just have to get past that early phase, get yourself the Trinity Force, and then you can just wave clear safety.
We find ourselves once again, RMC, with a significant early game lead for Cade Stars, 1.5 thousand gold at the 9-minute mark, and this time they have the grubs for themselves. Red do at least have the dragon, Ultimately, they're going to be playing from behind in this mid-game once again. Now, they do have Jarvan, Orianna. Corki, once that first item spike hits, is going to have damage to offer, and Frosty, as we said, has a lot of agency in this game to take the threat away from some of these VKS combinations, and Red seem confident to at least go for a little bit of an invade on the bot side.
I don't know if it's confidence or it's just Frosty.
Yeah, just Frosty moment.
Yeah, it's just Bard things on a Bard player. They just go in. It's always safe to get out, right? He does still have the flash available. Oh, the turnaround.
Oh, coming back in on Trimby. The flash is there. Doesn't quite have the ultimate. Does he have the speed to get there?
Oh.
Doom drops the Cataclysm on his head, and Red gets something on the board.
Signs of life from Red. Let's go. This is what we wanted to see. The early game has not been kind to Red, and some of it is of their own making, looking at UFNB. But yeah, glad to see this is popping off, because this is the combo. They need Doom to find these angles. They need Frosty to find these angles. I'm actually waiting for Frosty to hit 6 with Tempered Fate, which is when I thought we'd see Red start to pop off. That's when you can use the Tempered Fate into Cataclysm, into Shockwave combo. But instead, this was just vision control, right? The ward that Trimby did spot out with the sweepers, did clear, gave away his position, and he underestimated how much distance can be covered by a J4, by a Bard, if they're willing to kind of expend everything. Miryu again in a 1v2.
Playing on him, Shurikens ults to safety, and just like that is straight out of there, loses the ultimate at least. Kaze can now take it back and TP back in if he wishes, but they are really dedicating a lot of time to slow Miryu down. Now, fair enough, he has not got a kill just yet. He is a little bit down in CS as well, so it's somewhat working, but they would love to get some of these kills on the board to build their own threats with their gold.
I'm not gonna lie, that worries me a lot, Trajan. The fact that we hyped and highlighted the mid lane matchup, and Kaze on the Orianna is supposed to be winning early. This is not Orianna winning, this is ganks.
Frosty does have a heal and a flash, shouldn't have to burn either of them. Desamus is pretty spooky with the Sundered Sky already done. The Xin Zhao as a duelist at this point in the game is almost unmatchable with this item completed, so they've got to give Desamus big respect around the map right now.
Frosty, give respect? Nah, he's on Bard. I don't think he still held the flash after all this time. Oof, Miryu, the Shuriken flip all the way back to safety. But this bot lane matchup is what I mean, right? Like, Kazi's kind of missed his power window. Now he's in his power trough, where he's sitting on a Catalyst and Tier. Very little combat stats, just a little bit of health if we're talking about combat. Meanwhile, Miryu has completed the Hextech alternator. This is where Akali starts to, be able to match the Orianna and maybe even threaten a little bit. But we're not seeing Kaze fight back. Every time, it's somebody helping Kaze, whether it's Frosty, whether it's Doom, just roaming down. And even when that happens, Miryu just gets away alive. Sure, he's down CS, but he's actually equalized the CS, which is a horrible state for Red to be in the mid lane.
And I wonder if we are going to see Red try to pick a fight again where they are in this weakened state, still without the Rod of Ages completed for Kaze, Rebello, without that first item done. And last game, they picked a fight in the topside river they had no business going for, and it cost them arguably the entire dang thing with how badly it went. Doom working on the second Drake right here, but VKS stepping into the river. They're going to look for it. Kaze's going to have the first move over Miryu, it must be said. Frosty might be caught out. The Bard ult to slow them down. Trimby will only get the ult onto one. In comes the Bard kill for Varus, and now Rebello running for his life. Doom has been caught out. Double for Morteus. Kaze trying to flash away. Doesn't get picked by the execution, but the Dragon taken as well. And can the tower keep this all around alive? A lovely Shockwave gets it's a rave. There's the fight back we wanted from the red mid laner. But the Varus arrow will basically do the deed. Trimby locking up, and here we go again, RMC. VKS just outperforming in the fights.
It's super funny to me that something's been in the water this weekend, Trajan. How many times have we seen a team leash the Dragon for the other team? And more often than not, it's been teams leashing for Red. It's Doom walking in and just smiting it away, zoning them out. But here in Game 2 of the Grand Finals, it's the opposite. Doom starting it up, and Desamus going, thank you for the leash. We walk in. Frosty's Tempered Fate as well really backfired there. Because it landed on the Dragon, they couldn't focus out the Dragon and go for the steal. So Doom is stuck in there, fighting, as you said, one of the premier duelists at this point in the game. That dash word from Desamus was picture perfect, and Dragon's just standing there, chilling. Doom's dying, and by the end of it, when it gets low enough for a smite, Doom is already dead. Heck, Dragon even resets, which has completely shafted everything. If anything, Red is lucky they at least get the counter kill here off the Shockwave. And even that is kind of Miryu overstepping a little bit, and it doesn't matter when the rest of the team is more than happy to dive in and clean house.
Yep. Good effort by Kaze at the end right there, but still nothing he could do. Morteus picking up so much gold in that play. Now 1.3k ahead of Rebello, who's gone straight into the Spear of Shojin first. You can see we're just not going maximum damage for Red. We're going for a mix of defensive and offensive stats. And we're walking into a fight and then not doing any damage. It's a baffling one for me.
Well, I think part of it's partially to try and stay alive against Miryu. Miryu now has Portal Belt completed. He's an absolutely massive threat to this backline, and unfortunately, there's not a ton of peel. Frosty is not your traditional tank engage support where he can sit back and try and stun things up. He can stand there and take the damage for you. If Frosty is standing by you, Frosty can go down to just the AoE that Akali puts out. Heck, he's a target for Miryu to start looking for some kills as well. So Rebello needs his own way to stay alive, and Shojin's gives him the ability to kind of spam it more spells. The wave clear is still there with that item. So Red, it feels like kind of on the back foot. Once again, Trajan, we saw after what happened in Game 1, Kate Stars don't give you a lot of opportunities to get back into this one. Red has to manufacture their own wins, and so far, I'm not seeing it. Where's my Doom Kaze combo? Where's my ball delivery system? Where's my Cataclysm into Shockwave?
They're making another play into this bot side. Rebello going to be spotted out by that blue trinket as the Samus would love to get the red. The Bard ultimate doesn't connect and catches Doom in the net instead. Unfortunate for Red. We are not looking super tied up right now. We're not looking buttoned up and ready to go in this second game. They're going to steal away this red buff, but VKS have got to see these mistakes, and they've got to be licking their lips right now.
Yeah. Oh, looking like he's caught up, but he's mega.
He's going to time out. There's a TP into that bot side. FMB not channeling. Now he does, but Doom is way into the backline. Is this a good spot to be in? Miryu is in there. Trimby doesn't get knocked up. Miryu now threatening onto Frosty. FMB, can he keep Akali off their backs? He can't do it. In down goes the bot laners. Bowl dropping lower and lower. FMB looking for the kill, but Morteus around the corner is doing crazy damage on the Varus. And FMB just cannot reach Bowl, who dances out of reach. And once again, VKS in the fight, completely outclass Red.
And this fight, Trajan, was a 3v5. Like, this Samus wasn't... Okay, call it a 4v5, because Bull was there to start, and Bull did do a lot of damage. Morteus came in kind of late. They're not done yet. Miryu wants more.
Kaze with no flash. Miryu with no ultra flash himself. Frosty's come around the corner, and Doom is here. There's a tower just about alive. Red looks like they want to consider scrapping over it, but they've got to be careful of the threat from the Sakali, who finally has picked up some gold. Now 3-1-3. And on this top side, VKS running rampant over the structures.
Originally, it was only Samus up there with Herald in pocket trying to make this happen, but Bull with the instant TP up as well. They're going to get 1 3/4 of a turret on this push rating. That's 2 turrets going down. The gold suddenly balloons from 3k to 6,000 gold advantage for Cade. And this fight starts looking like it's advantage for Red, because Trimby doesn't find the ult. The Shockwave was honestly a little bit over the top. Doesn't do as much damage as you like. And because they used it early, they didn't have the combo for the big threats for Miryu, for Morteus when they finally arrive. And Miryu is zoning off Doom and Kaze as well. It looks really split, and perhaps you're wondering, hey, why isn't Kaze getting in there? Why did Doom walk away? They could have added damage. Maybe they could have helped try and Trimby. Well, they can't walk up into an Akali when you're low on health. That could have been a penta if they did walk up. So Cade, Miryu, being fed 3-1-3 right now is that huge threat we're talking about. Akali is always the focus of the game, and Miryu is making it happen yet again.
Oh, Doom looks for a play. Miryu already into the backside. Kaze under threat. The perfect execution doesn't quite make it work. Tries to escape. Trimby there to pick up the final kill. Doom through the Bard portal into the ultimate as well. Surely we are just delaying the inevitable here, and VKS now the ones taking aggressive stances. It seems like Red have been the one making plays and having them turned, but now Cade Stars, they're so far ahead, RMC. We're almost 7k ahead again at 18 minutes. This is it's even faster lead this time.
I got no excuses for it this time. Like, last game, their comp was really iffy. This is the LTA South bread and butter. Like, where if you can't execute this comp, I am very, very concerned. And right now, Frosty has a 100% hit rate on the Tempered Fate, but has a 0% impact rate. It's not helping his team right now. This bar pick is one of Frosty's sort of specials, if you will. It's one of his comfort picks. It's something that he normally does a lot on. And all I can think is, maybe it's the format. Red, this is their 3rd straight best of 5 that they have to play this weekend to make a shot to the finals. They played through the lower bracket the entire way. Friday, they were up against Loud. Saturday, they went up against Pain. And today, they're up against Cade. And it just feels like they're running out of steam.
Yeah, they're not firing all cylinders, it seems. Frosty and discover VKS waiting once again. These deep recall points will not lead to a kill once again. As VKS, the pick of the litter as to what they want to do. The Atakan's still got a minute on the clock. Baron, 5 minutes after that. And right now, it seems like they just can do no wrong. The carries are all scaled up. Gold leads in every lane. We haven't really seen too much out of Bowl through large parts of this game, but he's opened up a wide CS lead. He's been dealing much better on the side lanes. He's just quietly scaling up on the Gnar, taking towers, doing a job. And this is once again what Bowl has often been asked to do. He's just doing it way better now.
Yeah, and if you followed VKS throughout this year, maybe you'll understand a bit better why Trajan and I sound so shocked at how clean Cade Stars is playing. Because last year, Cade had a fantastic run. They won both the regular season, but they couldn't quite pull it off in the playoffs. And they looked like a very disciplined team last year. But this year, especially in Split 2, Cade looked like they were falling apart a little bit towards the end. They were losing that discipline. They were throwing games that they should have been able to win with the leads. But here in Split 3, CL and Smalley worked magic, because this squad, the way they're playing right now, reminds me a lot of that Smalley Pro Delta squad, where the bot lane is smashing, where they're feeling a lot more comfortable, and they don't make as many mistakes. They're playing pretty good, clean macro, and just not giving teams opportunities to get back into that. We see Trimby now looking for the pick, and Rebello, can he get away? I don't think Trimby's going to let him.
Flash from Trimby to follow. Gets the Corky Flash as well. The Bard Portal to stall the play. Miryu on the flank. Doom's going to spot him. Sidesteps the Bard Portal. Miryu dragged back over to the tower, following the Shuriken flip as Kaze, abandoned in the jungle corridor, tries to get the shockwave. Can't even complete the animation. 2 more kills drop down for VKS, and now they can move towards bot lane.
Yeah, and it's Miryu getting himself into dicey situations, but it's Red paying the price. Like, he went in for a second to think, oh no, Miryu's under a turret. But it's Kaze who ends up dropping dead, because Yaren Orianna, who hasn't fully stacked your Rod of Ages, doesn't even have the Seraph's Embrace either. So the tanky stats aren't quite through, and Miryu is sat on a fully stacked Darksteel with a needlessly large rod and another Hextech alternator after the first one got built. This, by the way, has been the first ultimate I think I've seen from Frosty that really had good positive impact. The Tempered Fate to stop the follow-up meant that Rebello got out to safety. But the moment Miryu shows up, that's when you've got problems. And if Akali is diving you with impunity like this, you know you're in trouble. And once again, Cade, zero hesitation. Once the fight is called for, everybody's in there. Whether you have to flash, whether you have to use abilities, whatever it takes, they've got your back.
Absolutely. VKS showing the power, the cohesiveness of this team in its final iteration this year, unlocking what has been spoken of in interviews all year but not showing up on the Rift. Now we are seeing them completely dominate Red Canids so far, having done so to Pain, having done so to Furia. No one seems able to stop this train right now. The Atakan will be taken as Red look to mount a last-ditch effort to contest it. FMB TPing in, now he's got the tower. They're looking for Miryu once again. Frosty takes a fair bit of damage. FMB looking for to rejoin the team right here. Varus ult lands, Trimby gets a couple of members. The Bard ult once again stalls the play as Trimby now tries to get out to safety. Desamus already picking up that first kill as Doom goes down. FMB flashing away, but VKS refuse to let go of their ankles, diving deeper. Miryu going further and further. The Shroud gets the Akali out. Frosty and Rebello, the bot lane, the last alive, and Frosty strolls back to base. There is nothing more for you to do here.
Oh, there's still Atakan for Cade to pick up for on their side. They're turning around and picking that one up. Frosty won't be able to do anything. Tempered Fate already used as well, and Cade are just running away with this Trajan as if they needed any other advantage other than the massive gold lead they've once again accrued before Baron spawns. And we get to kind of see the gold graph. It's Mortea's pumping out the damage now. Miryu is just the threat of damage. Him being there is slowing Red down, and Kaze, he's not getting anything. This was my concern with control mages. What kind of cracked me up in this fight was watching Trimby and FNB. Because FNB TP's in, and he's the front line. He leads the charge. Doom gets absolutely melted, though. And Doom should be tankier, whereas Trimby doesn't even have the benefit of a stasis. Doesn't have the benefit of the Tempered Fate. And it's very, very squishy. But somehow, this magical Runeterran Discord kitty is getting to the backline, causing chaos and getting out alive.
Yes, it is a sight to behold from Cade Stars, the way they're able to play out these fights. Red seem a little lost. They're not necessarily hitting the beats that they have done throughout the rest of this split. The hands may be a little shaky on this grand final stage. A lot of young players on stage right now. They've already achieved the cross-conference play. But in this matchup against VKS, They are getting outmaneuvered at every stage. Once again, they step into their jungle to try and contest another objective. But why would this go any different? RMC Doom has maybe found Morteus out on his own. Trimby tries to slow the rotation, but Rebello's already got that first kill. Frosty likely to go down, but the rotation from VKS only serves up another death. Bowl now is under threat. Miryu on the flank. Rebello has to stay safe. In goes Doom to try and push him back, but gets chopped to pieces by the Akali as Kaze's been zoned out on the bot side of the play. FNB with an all-out gets Miryu out of there, but Bowl now hunting with the boomerangs. Rebello doing what he can, but Bowl will simply take the 1v1, and Kaze has to run himself into the execute.
At least he gets the execute, right? Like,
that's something.
Yeah, that's something. They also actually kind of shot the gold lead, ironically, with that fight because of the bounties that were on Morteus there. So that's good for them. But yeah, really rough for Red. And that fight starts about as well as you can hope for. They instantly burst out Morteus. Miryu was late to the fight. And I actually really enjoyed the way FNB and Rebello kind of zoned out towards the end against Miryu. The problem is Bowl finally gets in there. That Gnar, look, it's not been about the mini and Mega Gnar by any means, but just mini Gnar is enough. And Trimby, once again, causing disruption in the backline. He dies for it, but he actually stalls out the fight long enough for them to be able to play this. And Bowl in mini Mega Gnar farm has not really been that impactful. I feel like the time bought to actually allow him go back to mini was the critical thing here, because once he goes mini, that's when he starts to run everybody down.
Yeah, and you can see FNB trying to do what he can, but trying to lock Miryu down is far more easily said than done. This Akali has wasted so much of Red's time in this game. They've expended flashes, summoners, gank timings, trying to get a kill on this champion.
Oh
and they've only found one in 26 minutes, and here we go again with the kills on the backline. An attempted play completely folds under the pressure of Cade Stars. Double for Akali, and they keep pushing through top.
He was already dead, Trippy. We didn't need to do that to him. It's so brutal watching Red. The Jarvan-Orianna combo. At least they're going down together, but Trajan, I don't remember the last time we saw the Cataclysm Shockwave combo actually pop off. Like, did they get on Morteus? Or was that just the Cataclysm which killed Morteus earlier?
It was just the Cataclysm, and then Rebello just had damage to follow up. There wasn't even a Shockwave involved.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's looking dark for Red. And like you said, I think a lot of this comes down to sort of comfort champions. For Kaze, the Orianna is good. It's not like Kaze can't play Orianna. I know the laning looked really bad and he lost out to the Akali this game. But if you watch any other game this split where Kaze played Orianna, he wins lanes and then he converts into team fights. But not against Miryu. Right? These are the best mid laners in the region. You can't get away with being sloppy. You can't get away with your second string picks anymore. Kaze needs to be given agency because it feels like right now Doom and Frosty, they're not stepping up, and that's a huge thing to say about Frosty when he's been arguably one of the best players this entire elimination phase. This ain't it.
Red still desperately trying to contest vision around their own jungle entrances. Shoved back by the Cade Stars with no issue whatsoever as multiple Baron waves crashing in. They've got one prepped on top side if they want to rotate up there as well, but Red are just trying to hold on in this second game. They are 13.5k down, and we're 27 minutes in. We're starting a worrying trend, RMC, with these finals being crushes as Bowl goes in, cannot get his hands onto Rebello. Locked in the Cataclysm, knocked back as well. That's going to be that first kill. Trimby though is there. The Bard ultimate completely neutralizes it. They do still find the kill onto Doom. Rebello dropping low. Kaze looking for a way out. Miryu in from the flank. Flies in. Touches every target in the backline and executes Frosty to put a stamp on the fight, put a bow on this game, and push us to 2-0. One win away from locking that world slot.
And for Cade, again, let's reiterate, it's a world... Look, yes, the stakes are high. It's a world spot. It's a Texas ticket. But for Vivo Cade Stars, for the second oldest of organizations, for Coach CL, who came in and made a promise and was laughed at by everybody for how Cade has performed in Split 1 and Split 2. This means a lot to them individually, and here in the South, our domestic championships are huge. That trophy, Cade has not lifted one in more than a decade, and they are slobbering, they are slavering to get their hands onto this one, and it's looking like a clean 3-0 trade, and Red, it's got to be a comeback from them, and do you think they can reverse sweep?
I mean, if they start looking more like themselves, then maybe, but maybe the issue is just that VKS have hit this this ultra optimized peak version of themselves that looks completely uncontestable by anyone else in the region right now. They're operating on a level that no one is able to challenge. Either VKS start making some mistakes, or Red have to hit some sort of Super Saiyan level to unlock a way back into this game. For now, it is looking a little bit hopeless.
Yeah, very much so. And you're talking about going Super Saiyan. I don't know if they have it in them. It's been so long for it. They just keep going. And Cade, again, you know, they've just been playing so incredibly clean. This coaching staff of, you know, CL and Smalley. Unfortunately, we often get to see what CL brings to the team. Oftentimes, we don't get necessarily to see what Smalley brings to the team. But I like to think, after having, you know, watched how they've played this year compared to last year, that a lot of it is Smalley bringing that calm that he was known for, that he was originally picked for as an AD carry, that sort of shot calling, that leading, and he's managed to impart it to this roster. Maybe not to Morteus directly, though I do know that he works very closely with Morteus, but especially I feel like with Trimby, with the Samus, and kind of integrating Miryu into all of that as well. You know, getting Miryu into a position where he can carry, where he can pop up this team. Like, it's just been fantastic, and this team's just clicking on all cylinders. Every single player, every single coaching staff, support staff. It's looking real good for the Warriors here.
We are back, everybody. Game number 3 upon us here in the LTA South Split 3 Grand Finals. VKS continuing an almost unbroken dominant streak in the upper bracket of playoffs, and Red RMC are left reeling at what they are faced with today.
Yeah, I think about the fact that Cade has only dropped one game in the elimination phase. They've absolutely been popping off. Incredible performance by them. And here in the Grand Final Trajan, it does feel like they're scaling up at the best possible time. Because while this is the Grand Finals of the LTA South, it's not the end of the journey for these teams. First of all, there's the LTA Cross-Conference Regional Championship, which crowns the true first champion, by the way. So only split 3 counts for championship of the LTA. And it also, there's worlds after that as well, which the LTA Regional Championships will decide seeding. So the journey kind of doesn't end here. If anything, it's only halfway through.
Yeah, this is the best narrative moment for VKS to hit that peak strides, to take that out of the domestic league into the international stage. But RMC, I want to take a quick look at how we got here for VKS, because I do want to emphasize how perfect it is if they can complete that journey today. We have a graphic to show to just illustrate the ups and the downs of this VKS project since CL came in. They rejoined the league a couple of years ago with a budget roster, landed in 9th, no one looked twice at them. However, then we got the 3G roster of VKS that landed in the mid-pack, started to perform a little better, but could not crack into that top echelon, and that's when CL steps in. Coach Von leaves, CL comes in with this 5-year project to revitalize and restructure the entire league organization. They continue building on that project. Smiley comes in. He's building in players from the European scene. He's upgrading and promoting academy talent that they're building up. They get all the way to 2nd, and then Ego leaves. He's out the door. He goes to Furia, and VKS plummet back down to 8th in Split 1 2025. It seems like all of it was for nothing. The project fails to get going. Bowl comes in, but cannot be found anywhere in the top lane in most games. Now, finally, they start to settle a little bit. They climb back up to 4th. Of course, this is now in an 8-team region, but they're still struggling in the mid lane. Now, Kissy is not being able to get it done what needs to be done. Bowl is still struggling, and it looks like VKS are going to stall out. They're not going to be able to fulfill CL's prophecy, and they will just crash down into the mediocre mid-pack and not be able to realize that dream. And that's when Miryu arrives. Leaves the breaking up of Isserus Estral. Miryu flies out, lands in VKS, and suddenly everything clicks. We've gone all the way up to 2nd place, the finals, taken a game off of Pain, back down to the bottom. And now here we are right at the cusp of completing that cycle, completing that journey up to 1st, and proving CL as, if not at the very least, a great entertainer, perhaps even a prodigy with foresight as well. And that would just be the absolute perfect way, I think, to end this VKS journey.
Yeah, he's been lauded as the best import coach in Brazil ever. And now it's time to prove it. If he wins this, he can have that title because he was the one who made this project. He was the one who kind of brought it all in. And look, we talk a lot about Miryu and Bowl because Desamis, Morteus, and Trimby, these guys have been performing right from the get-go, pretty much they came in. Trimby had like a rough 1 or 2 weeks, and then he clicked and then everything was fine. But Miryu was sort of what kind of guided them to the top. But the other one I kind of want to focus on is Bowl as well. Because in that graphic that you're talking about, in that timeline, Trajan, you saw that when Bowl joined, it was kind of the lowest point for Cade. And a lot of people are looking at Bowl saying, okay, he's a bit of a weak point that's exploitable. Heck, even coming to the elimination phase here, we were thinking, okay, with Robo, with Gigo, with Weiser, with FNB, he's not going to hang with the big boys. But here we are. Bowl is not just hanging, he's beating them up and leaving them for dead. FNB has been struggling against him. That last game, we didn't see much of Bowl, but every time we did see Bowl, he was winning, he was doing stuff. Those boomerangs were bouncing everywhere.
He's the Grim Reaper. He's going door to door, taking out the best of top talent that Brazil has ever had. You know, one by one, they are falling to this guy. And now we're into the draft for game number 3. VKS with one more step to complete that journey. And we're still seeing a little bit of that top focus. The Jack's taken away. Red opting for the red side once again, refusing to go blue against VKS. They are staying confident in whatever this strategy is. The Sylas still taken away. Yunara and Aurora and Azir, obviously exactly the same bans for red in that first phase. But now VKS, what do we have in the first position? The Varus is now gone from Fearless. Let's see what you've got.
And Yunara's still banned away, so that's not as big a prio. The Pantheon Trinity, the Jungle Trinity of Pantheon Xinjiao, as well as Wukong, is not currently available. The support pool is wide open with all the engaged tanks still available since we had double Enchanter last game. They're going with a sort of a safe pick. Not exactly a strong prio pick, but a pick that's going to leave them the ability to counter pick in other lanes. And Renekton doesn't have that terrible matchups right now. Most notably, it can hang with Mbessa and Yorick, 2 top lane picks that are very, very popular currently.
Yes, and Yorick is going to be the choice for FNB. Still happy to go back to that one time and time again. But Bowl with another stage set to potentially outclass his opponent and demonstrate that he is to be considered the top of that top lane pile right now. We'll see what the second pick for red is going to be. If we're going to take another standard high-value jungler, if we're going to look for something for Kaze, maybe something with a bit more agency, as you would hope for RMC, but let's see what red's choice is going to be.
I don't know.
You did the kombucha go, like, I'm not sure about that. So, in a sense, Ryze does have agency with the ultimate. In comp, Ryze ultimate is a huge amount of agency, and he has a quite easy stun combo. Is he going to be DPS carrying late game team fights? Usually not, unless he is Omega fed, which could happen. But you're normally more of a setup and you're part of a composition. Again, you're more like an Orianna than an Akali on this pick. So it seems like we are still approaching this mid lane in the same way.
Yeah, and I just fear that it's not a champion with a lot of agency, especially early game agency. Where I
Early
feel
game,
like
no.
Kaze and Doom have been falling behind in terms of pressure against Mirio and Desamis. And it's not just their lane that's getting affected. When Desamis gets a lead in that mid lane, when Mirio's unlocked, they are more than happy to move around as well. We talk a lot about Desamis Trimby in terms of macro movements. But Mirio's kind of a roamer this series. He's been getting everywhere. Okay, maybe not Victor. It's not... He's been reworked. He doesn't have the lame leg anymore, but Victor still doesn't really want to move too much from mid lane.
Well, we have had the Windmill Slam insta-lock Nidalee for Doom. So, and that, let me tell you, that was frame 1 when he had his pick open. They were waiting for the Nidalee to come in. I don't think they cared what Mirio was going to pick, to be honest. So Mirio at least has less ability to control the flow of the backline in a fight, is trying to front to back a fight as a Victor. The Gravity Well is obviously impactful in the choke point, but he's not going to be able to wreak as much havoc directly. And Doom on the Nidalee, I believe, is 1-0 on this pick.
Yes.
So...
But we don't talk about the comp he ran it in. The fact that it was, what was it, Zed? And I can't remember what other nonsense they had.
Yeah, it was like just a bunch of assassins on top side that should never have worked and just kind of did. And did look pretty sketchy for large parts of that game. But they
I don't think Cave will let you back in if you mess up like the early game, like Red kind of did with that competition. But this is not the same, right? You've got Ryze, you've got setup. Even with the Yorick, you don't have hard CC necessarily, but you do have that little bit of a cage which can restrict their actions and the angles that they can play into. So there is setup for Doom. My concern when I see this drop so far is, how is this comp supposed to work? You don't team fight with this. Yorick doesn't want to team fight. Nidalee doesn't want to team fight. You're also very magic heavy with the Ryze and with the Nidalee. Sure, you're probably going to go more physical damage threat on the bot side, and you've got a physical threat on the top side. But with an AD carry, usually for it to really pump up the damage, you need safety to allow it to do that. And we're seeing the Ezreal removed right away by the side of VKS. So they're not giving you that agency. Sivir, another champion who can sometimes kind of do her own thing. Kai'Sa, likewise. All these mobile AD carries are being wiped away. I'm thinking maybe a Zeri for Rebello at this point, if that doesn't get banned. If you pick something immobile like a Jinx, like a Misfortune, I just don't see how it's playable.
I do feel like we need a centerpiece here and maybe some sort of tanky utilitist support to lock in with that one. We have lost quite a few of them. There's a Leona still available for Frosty if he wants to pull that one out. I feel like we need some frontline. We'll let him hover it for now. This is Brazil. We have not seen it from him yet, I don't think, but we'll see if he wants to lock that one in. And it can be a centerpiece AD carry. It does not interact the same way as Zeri does, but largely you can build a comp around it, and we are going to pivot to the Lucian. So this is not a late game win condition, but it can be game warping. It can be hugely impactful in the mid game, and it seems like Red just have no interest of going late against VKS. Their drafting really does not suggest that they want to do that ever.
Yeah, it's kind of like a win lane, win comp style of draft. Very, very solo QS coming through from Red. No clear identity. They still have a lot of things that can pair with the Lucian. Nami's still available, and we're probably not going to see it picked here. But speaking of Misfortune for Red, it's actually VKS picking up this one, and they need some sort of setup. So far, you've got Victor, you've got Misfortune, who can both do amazing things in teamfight, but you don't have something to start it off. There we go. Rakan, not the longest sort of AoE CC. I think Rel would have been better for that, but she already got picked back in game 1. Leona might also be a bit easier, but Rakan is very mobile, and most importantly, able to catch up with Nidalee and Lucian when they try and run away.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what Frosty's going to take. The Nami open, the Milio open, Lulu open. And as I said, I mean, maybe they do end up going for the Leona. We don't normally see actual engaged combinations with Lucian for a long time. Normally, people hold them for the Kai'Sa pairing or for the MF pairing, but it is going to be frontline. I do feel like they need some more frontline because FMB is unlikely to be in the fights. At least probably shouldn't be all the time, otherwise something's kind of going a little bit wrong there. So they've got Dive, they've got long range engage with Leona, they've got Poke with Culling, with the Spear from Doom, and then Kaze with a little bit of engage potential, with a kind of semi-frontlining ability with the health and the shielding and the kind of time wasting with Phase Rush. So it's a pretty weird comp, RMC. It's a pretty wacky one, I'll be honest. But VKS, they've just got team fighters and frontliners, and that's kind of fairly standard stuff.
The last pick for the Leona feels a little bit forced from Red. because I would have much preferred a Braum. I think Braum has better synergies with Lucian in lane, being able to proc the Winter's Bite so quickly. And also, it would have been great into the Misfortune to stop the bullet time across. Leona doesn't have good answers to Misfortune. Her answer is a Solar Flare to the face. But if you're using Solar Flare, you're using it defensively at that point, and you lose the engage factor of it. But as you pointed out, they're picking the Leona for the long range engage, because their comp has no way of starting a fight. But they also don't have great ways of playing a game without a fight. At best, you've got Yorick split push. But that was the beauty of the draft in the first pick Renekton that came through from VKS. I really love what CL and Smawi did with the setups to this, because by picking Renekton, they knew that there were very few, if any, bad matchups for Renekton. And we've seen the Yorick Renekton matchup multiple times now in the LTA South. Renekton wins early, and oftentimes if you get any sort of jungle pressure in, you can kill the Yorick repeatedly, and if Yorick falls behind, he's a non-entity. Split pushing is not a win condition, and Red don't have another win con right now with this draft besides split pushing.
A big curveball taken on the Nidalee jungle for Red Canids, trying to find a way to break this VKS strategy, this game plan that has worked for them time and time again in the playoffs. 0-2 down. A reverse sweep required at a minimum to lock in that championship. Both of these teams with a trophy drought that they would like to end, but VKS certainly seem closer, inches away from breaking that streak. If they can just lock in one more game, like game 1 and 2, this will be a swift, decisive 3-0 as we head on to the Rift.
I'm super curious to see how this game starts, because so far it's been Cade always somehow racing ahead with some sort of early kill by about the 6-7 minute mark, and then really snowballing from there. With the Nidalee from Red, this champion, more than I think anything else Doom has picked, really needs to snowball the early game. If he doesn't get a lead in the first 10 minutes with this Nidalee, we're going to have problems. We didn't touch on the Trundle for Desamis, but the Trundle is actually a really good pick for Cade later on. The ability to shred through anybody, and the Pillar is going to do a lot of work into Kaze, into Frosty, into FNB, and that's one of the ways they're going to be forcing fights, which Red don't really have good answers to.
Yeah, it's another situation where the Braum might have been nice, having that passive to stack up on a Trundle and a Renekton that are trying to dive into your Lucian, gives them a way to put some distance in there, but sadly, it's not going to be the choice. Frosty going to have to make this Leona work. Again, both of these teams taking very aggressive posturing in that level 1 pre-minion state, and they will back away here. Less trading than before, and Red still walk away with a nice deep ward to keep an eye on Desamis, and oh my word, RMC.
Yeah, Rebello and Frosty are low-key thinking of sacrificing their laning in order to try and get some cheese off. If they can slow Desamis down, that would be huge. We talked about how Doom, they're actually going to be able to do this.
Desamis will love the pathing here. They're going to catch him out. They're going to get the instant flash. Now, can they get the red buff? Desamis wants to smite it. The rotations are going to come through from Trimby. Level 1 Rakan doesn't really do that much. He's only got, I guess, a Q to go through. Now he's going to get dumped down by Rebello. Chunks him down to 200 HP. The shield there as well. Rebello burning the barrier to keep that health advantage.
Okay, so what Red has managed to get off of this is that they actually did slow down Simis, and Doom is going to get a bit of an advantage in terms of pacing, should get his earlier gank off. I don't think it's a big enough advantage that Doom should be able to get any sort of invade off, or really set the Samus significantly behind. In exchange, Rebello and Frosty have lost a lot of that lane pressure. Morteus is already level 2. And with a Lucian, that feels really bad to be behind. If they can get enough poke down onto the Leona as well. Leona doesn't have healing. She doesn't have good comeback mechanics. If she goes down, she tends to stay down.
Yes, if she goes in, she stays in. If she goes down, she stays down. Leona, a full commitment champion, generally speaking. See Miryu and Kaze trading out as natural on these control mages. Unlikely to see too much action right there. FNB and Bolt and testing up in that top side. So let's keep an eye on these junglers pathing to see if Doom can stay a step ahead of Desamis, can try to get ahead of him onto a play, find his way into a gank before Desamis is in position to punish. And Rebello and Frosty have taken up a position in this brush, but Frosty whiffs the Zenith Blade and lose out the chance to burst the Summoner, or at least get that health chunk on.
Yeah, Morteus and Tribby, they get that vision down safely. They don't lose any minions for it. They're fine. Mid lane, Kaze also got a bit of a cheater recall, so he's got that early tier stacking. Miryu, with the Victor, not really able to answer early on. The wave clear from Victor is a little bit weaker till he starts getting those upgrades. Top side, though, that's where Bo, I think, is winning out quite significantly already, about a wave ahead. Now, granted, the wave is still there. It's just really hard for FNB to actually last it without getting traded upon. And Bo is very, very mobile with the slice and dice, able to get in trade, get out before the turret shot hits.
Doom looking for a rotate over it. Kaze moving too as well. Doom was spotted out. Kaze now in the brush, has to back away. Not going to overcommit into Miryu and Desamas right now. The Victor without the most mana, and early on doesn't have too much to offer in terms of damage, but obviously still has that stun. And Doom instead is going to keep on rolling through this jungle. Desamas pulling the recall.
Yeah, Double Scuttle is sort of the reward that Doom gets for all the pressure that Rebello and Frosty got with the invade. Desamas can't contest that, and his lanes aren't in a position where he can really back them up. Morteus and Trimby can still get prio if they need to, but Miryu can't. As you mentioned, out of mana.
Doom arriving on that bot side. 2 scuttles in hand. Trimby and Morteus gonna like to try and stop a recall, but Desamas is around the corner here. Could be a 3v3 in the offing. Looks like the junglers are going to try and back away. We'll see if the bot lanes let them.
And we're seeing the mini camera there showing the trade in the top side, where Bo is again chunking out FNB every time he tries to walk up, and FNB having to kind of walk away for now, just hug the turret.
Frosty comes out the brush, looking for Trimby. Early heal to get them out of there. And they'll step away from the spear as well. So quick reactions twice now. VKS about to have fast fingers to get away from these plays. And we can see Morteus now out of mana. Low HP as well, as both junglers still hanging around. They're getting dragged into these plays, but now Doom might have caught them out. Frosty misses the Zenith Blade again. He needs to hit these ones to get these plays started.
And look, Trishan, I know we were talking about nerfs of some of these plays for red cannons. Well, Frosty's not one of the rookies. That's Rebello, that's Kaze, that's Doom. It feels like Frosty last game with the Bard and the misplays. He hasn't shaken off his nerves from those mistakes he made last game. And as you said, not a single Zenith Blade has landed so far. And every time he misses, you can see Morteus and Trimby, the moment Zenith Blade goes down, they step up. They know that there's my window to play. What are you going to do? If Rebello walks forward, Trimby engages. You're going to lose that trade. Misfortune, one of the champions that can go toe-to-toe against that Lucian. And for Frosty, if you're just stuck using Shield of Daybreak, you got to walk up into melee range, and you're kind of slow. Boots have been picked up by Frosty on this back, and maybe now Frosty can do something with Zenith Blade down, but prior to that, he was at the mercies of Morteus and Trimby.
FNB looking for some vision onto Desamas. He is going to walk in through the lane in top side as well. Frosty helping Kaze crash this wave into mid lane. Understandably low action so far for this Rise and the Victor. It's mainly been focused on bot side. We do see at least that Morteus has managed to have the extra gold to get that BF sword locked in, approaching level 6 before too long, and they'll have that combination to offer. But now Doom looking for a gank on Tamiri. They got the root, they got that stun combo, all forces the flash away. Kaze taken away from the Chaos Storm as Desamas sees what needs to be done right here. We saw that Nidalee Rise combo get a decent chunk down, and more flashes burned for VKS, but Red would certainly love to get a kill at some point from these plays.
Yeah, and I'm feeling really bad for Doom, because remember, we said with Doom, he needs to get some sort of significant lead, ideally by the 7-minute mark. We're 8 seconds away from that. Doom is up 5 CS. That is nothing. He's not found a kill. Maybe this is it.
Oh, here we go. Tries to get that blast cone. Desamas one tick away. Doom just finish it off, brother. First blood secured. And there it is for the Red Canids Nidalee. Finally something on the board. I think this is the first time Red's gotten first blood in this series.
Feels like it, yeah. I do believe so, yeah. And it's just perfect timing. We're just in. Doom's running out of time. The clock was running down, and he finds the kill right after that 7-minute mark. A bit of an advantage, and that should secure him the advantage and priority over the Dragon, which is spawned, and the Grubs, which is spawning in 30 seconds. Zenith Blade lands.
Gets onto Morteus, gets the cleanse away. Rebello not needing to fully commit right there. So again, Summoners continuing to be stripped off VKS. And I mean, it might have been the first time that Red's gotten first blood in this series. It honestly kind of feels like the first time they've gotten a kill in this series with how one-sided it has been. And they have managed to keep this pressure going. Doom once again stepping into the jungle, but the vision line for VKS, the rotations that have served them so well. Frosty TPing in to keep that pressure up, and Doom going to contest the jungle camps.
Yeah, Desamas doesn't have a smite, so I don't know if he can actually really contest this. Has to be careful of spears coming through, especially with Frosty in Doom's back pocket there. And yeah, this is exactly what you want to see from Doom when he gets a lead. Start invading, start shutting down Desamas. The question is, how long can you keep this up? Because for Red, they are on a bit of a timer. Yes, you've got a Rise, which scales really well, but they've got a Victor. And I feel like Trundle's scalings and his subjugate ability just are so much more impactful than the Nidalee later on. So I'd love to see Doom actually kind of go for these early Dragons, go for these early Grubs. They've sacrificed the Dragon for now. They're leaving that. They want to contest on this top side of the map instead. And with Bo and Miryu here, this might be contestable for Kate Stars.
Frosty walking through the lane. Doesn't have ult just yet, as Bowl is quite deep on that front line, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Slices his way out of the Yorick cage. And Red, so far, being allowed to take the first crack at these grubs. But here comes the reposition. VKS looking to coalesce and make a second run out at the Trundle Pillar. Locks Kaze out. 2 grubs down. Doom with the choice to jump over the pit if he wants to. Trimby, though, with a max range spear. Drops super low, and Kaze with the ultimate onto Bowl, trying to cut off the route back to the tower. A blast cone, is it enough to get him away? The flash, then the blink misses again! Kaze gets in there with the rune prism, but now VKS have had time to group up again. And Red back away. Frosty continuing to miss these critical skill shots, slowing the pace of Red down. Contesting the blue buff. VKS still with plenty to offer. Bowl pretty low. Morteus ultimate. Leona getting shredded down right here. Takes him all the way to zeros. Morteus with the kill. Blue buff secure. Trimby pretty low. Red see blood in the water. They're looking for a little bit more. They're diving in. Kaze gets one. Doom tries to get out, but he can't make it to safety. Bowl getting choked down, and this time FNB receives the credit.
A 2 for 2 at the end of it, and Cade was just baiting the entire time around the blue buff. But Red called the bluff and said, okay, we will full send this. I don't care that you've got bullet time. It's only level 1 and you don't have that much damage yet, even with the BF sword. And just like that, Red walk away with the advantage. They walk away with the extra plate. They walk away with... Wait, only 1 grub? Oh, there's still 1 standing Trajan.
Oh, there's 1 and 1. Okay. 1 lonely grub that just got abandoned as the play moved away, sadly.
Wow, okay.
No longer the focal point. And Red now is the one walking out of this early game. We've had this consistent sort of 1.5k lead for VKS at about the 10-minute mark in game 1 and 2. This time Red with a healthy 800 gold lead themselves. They are still splitting the objectives. Frosty needs level 6 pretty bad, man. Then he can just press R and not have to hit the Zenith Blade, because that's not working out for him too well.
Yep, next minion, there we go. He's up to 6, and he's got the Solar Flare ready to go around that dragon. So what I really appreciate was Morteus actually stayed out of vision the entire time till this play was being made. Like, Red knew that Morteus was probably nearby, but they didn't know the exact angle, and that's why Cade were actually able to find those kills. But Red, I guess that was ironically the kick they needed to start actually going in on this. And so they decided to fully commit. Once bullet time went down, they were able to answer back. And you can see that they are stronger right now in this phase of the game. Those spears that Doom has been chucking out, they've been chunking. And they've been setting up Red for success on the eventual skirmish. They just needed to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and it seems like we are getting a little bit more success from Red in this early game. Doom being given the ball, told to run with it, and is trying his darndest to make this one work. I think Desamus did actually get his blue buff at the end of that play as well, so at least has to flash away, but still walks away with a contested buff. The Dragon left forgotten by the wayside until 11.5 minutes, and Red putting some vision down, but still not choosing to go for the rush. Instead, I think they kind of want to just clear out the jungle, maybe look to fight for that last grub, but Desamus is already on it.
It feels so ironic that Kaze joins Red Cannons, and it's no longer a full Brazilian roster, but it feels more CBLOL than ever before, where Dragons, one of those, never heard of them. That's also why we had that stat with Talkers. The fact that Red has gotten way better at fighting with this squad, but their objective control is still kind of hit or miss. Like, when they're winning, they take objectives very, very quickly, most of the time. When they're losing, though, they often struggle to get anything. This game is one of those rare games where Red are ahead, and they're still not going for it. They still rather try and snowball the gold advantages they do have. I don't hate the idea for their composition when I'm not sold that they're going to scale significantly or meaningfully in any way, but it is kind of not great to see them kind of neutral lane states and Doom not going for this early dragon.
At least we can now see Red get to approach the mid-game plays on an even keel, more or less gold. Even, a gold from a gold advantaged position, in fact. And perhaps they'll be able to do a little bit more without an early game that has come crashing around their ears before they could even get ults on board. As the Dragon now picked up, Doom is going to take that with no contest. Kaze happily holding 4 up in topside. And Red continues to hold the steady gold advantage.
Okay, Kaze with the Rod of Ages complete as well on this back. So 10 minutes time and Red will be at the peak of their powers. Where is Cade in all of this, Trajan? Bowl was expected to win out early. He was doing that till all the action went up towards that top side. Desamus has fallen behind, and now it's a significant CS deficit as Doom looks for those invades. So we're looking and waiting for Miria to start skilling up. Mirio went for the Rod of Ages rush too, and he's well behind Kaze. He's just sitting only on the Catalyst, no Blasting Wand, definitely no Rod of Ages in sight, and it's only Morteus, it feels like, who is a significant factor in the upcoming mid-game fights.
Yeah, he's had to detour for an Ill Magic Mantle as well, given that Rise Nidalee combination. Has his Rod of Ages completed, at least at this stage, TPing back in to match Kaze some more, so we'll start ticking up in stats over the next 10 minutes. But VKS, I'm wondering what the kind of choice of play is for them, if they feel any pressure to try and make something happen, or maybe just try and predict where Doom is going to be and craft a counterplay ready to go.
For now, they have no clue where Doom is, so no counterplay to be had. The Samus and Bull with a bait on their own. Doom cancels the recall.
Oh, they're going for the 2v2. Bull sidesteps the spear, but clearly VKS do not want any slice of that 2 versus 2. They'll flash away. Or not flash away, I should say. FNB flashes away, and Bull and the Samus drop the pillar and simply run out of there.
I'm just so curious, what made Doom stop the recall? Like, I don't think they hopped out of bush just yet. Just some sort of third sense meant that Doom didn't get caught. Oh, he might be caught now.
Oh dear, Doom in the wrong side of town. FNB trying to desperately get back to hell, but Nidalee is not long for this world. The Subjugate gets the job done, but Kaze and Frosty ulted in right now, back into a 2 versus 3. Bull trying to get locked down. The Samus flashing away from Frosty's ult. And FNB will be able to make this the 1-for-1 at the cost of the Rise Ultimate.
Yeah, but it's a lot of resources coming in by Red candidates. I've complained before that Cade Stars was collapsing faster, and Red just felt like they weren't playing for the team necessarily, and a lot for themselves. Well, this time they kind of swung, I think, a little bit overcorrecting with that, and they sent too many members down, and that leaves Mirio free up in that top lane to look for the first the first brick, as there's nobody who's going to get here in time. Morteus and Trimby are kind of shading nearby as well, and they've cut off the mid lane, so there's simply no reinforcements that can show up here.
Yeah, they've got no TPs to answer it, and VKS will get that credit. It's going to take a big chunk out of that gold advantage. FNB going to match it on that bottom side, but ultimately that is a feat of turret destruction going over to VKS as well. Feat of warfare for Red, and now it's all about the objectives. Kaze is ulted into top lane. In fact, did he know Trimby was there? Doom's around the corner. Kaze can tank a little bit of damage. The Samus around the corner as well. Frosty coming in. Can they get the Rise out? Tries to flash over the wall, shepherding him almost to safety, but the pillar blocks him in place. And Mirio finds it. Rebello over the wall looking for more, but it's a 4 versus 3. Do you even want to bother? Doom doesn't get over the wall. It's a disaster for the Nidalee. And the Samus picks up another. VKS punishing Red on the play top side.
And much like their season, Trajan, Red have worked so hard to scrape together leads. They've worked so hard to find an advantage. And in one fell swoop, it's overturned. Cade flipped the script on them in this critical game 3. 2 games up. Red's back up against a wall. And Cade just have zero mercy. Now Herald in Cade's pocket as well. And let's highlight this situation. Remember that last Lonely Grub that we forgot? Edu over there? Cade picked him up. So Cade have the grub advantage. Plus Herald? Oh, Frosty.
Frosty in a bit of a bind right now. Good stun combo, but there's one from Bull to follow it up, and Trimby can get in there. FNB doing what he can. But that's not that much. Frosty with no dashes to get to safety. Caught too deep on the bot side of the map.
This is all where it crumbles. Can Red kind of bounce back? I mean, it's not even that big a gold difference they gave over. 1.3, it's not nice to see at the stage of the game, but it's certainly not insurmountable. The bigger question for me is just the mentals on Red, and we've not seen that this series. It feels like when Red falls behind, they stay behind. Now they're looking to try and get the gank squad onto Mirio here.
The Samus making a play on top side onto Kaze with a TP in from Bull, but Mirio doesn't manage to sidestep the spear. There's no turret for him, likely to be caught out. Doom and FNB will make this work. Can Kaze do the same on top side? Desperately trying to escape. No ult, no flash, doing what damage he can. Pops the phase rush, but Bull is just sticking to him, refusing to let him pass. And both top jungles find their man on either side.
Difference being, Red has the wave pushing for them, and unfortunately, Cade don't. Their wave's actually stuck all the way back at turret. Trimby, though, rotating into the bot side with Morteus to help out. Bullet time looks like it's just come available. Red reinforcing Doom and FNB.
Dragon spawned if Red wants to try and peel back to it, because Bull and the Samus are just working away on that top side. They've got the Herald as well. Turret's going to be picked up for sure. What is the answer for Red? The inhib might be at risk here.
Yeah, and okay, Bull is Bo's going to take it into the inhibitor turret as well. If the Samus was around, Trundle's a great turret taker. We focus a lot on Yorick for taking structures, but Trundle's kind of up there with him, which is an interesting dynamic. Okay, we're back to the mid lane.
Morteus getting flashed on, desperately trying to escape. Doom can't hit the spear. Morteus with no summoners, but still holds the ult. BKS's bot lane survives. Now the top side, Bo is threatening on the other side of this play as well. Dashes into the Baron pit, will likely be able to escape. TP into mid lane. VKS trying to hold on to this mid lane inner, or outer I should say. And Red, they've simply got to back away. They can't find it.
I love that Bo was thinking about it too. He has a Dominus ready, so if he can get on backline, he can cause absolute chaos. Kaze was not in a great position to be able to reinforce that fight either, but I think Morteus and Trimby took too much damage on the beginning of that fight, the front of it, so they just had to back off. But Cade are fine with this. They got an inhibitor turret low. They took an inner turret on the side lane. Their gold lead is very, very healthy for themselves right now, and they're fueling good. Cade Stars have been here before. They've been here every single game this series. Sure, this is a little bit slower than usual, but they're still fueling strong and know how to play with this lead.
Now with a 1.5k lead to play with. Normally this is them at about 7 minutes, and by 19 they're normally about 7k ahead, but they are going to be happy with this one, likely to extend it even more, as once again the rotations, they've always got the man advantage. Rebello dashes into a Realm Warp, but Frosty once again no such luck, just cannot find a play to save his life in game 3.
If at least they got the turret, and if you're behind, you're willing to trade your support for a turret. The gold advantage shrank ever so slightly. We get to see a replay of what happened down tier to Miryu, and like you said, he's just too far up right now. He doesn't have a turret to go to safety, but he knew what his job was, and it was just to buy time for this play on the other side of the map. I actually thought Kazuya was going to be able to get away, especially with Phase Rush. We've seen so many times where he's just kind of run away, laughing the entire time, but Bo with the cutoff angle was the huge part here to be able to slow him down, and from there it's an easy take. I don't even think that the Samus could just left that. I'm not sure if the subjugate or the auto. I'd have liked to see Bo actually pick it up, because I do think Bo needs a couple more kills to be able to go toe-to-toe with FNB. Right now, the split push Dream and WinCon for Red is still alive. If you can shut that down, Cade would feel a lot more comfortable.
Red trying to pressure onto this mid lane. Doom and Frosty looking for a possible target, but Morteus happy to stand in control of this structure. Buys continuing to come through. We're starting to hit that 2-item mark as Doom loses the flash. Overcommitting in that top side river, and VKS has just always got more members there to push you away. If Red want to split push and try and break VKS apart, that's great, but right now they are suffering by how well VKS are playing together.
And they're not quite set up in position. Frosty gets picked.
That's a risky way to go back to your tower, buddy. In comes the Victor stun. Frosty's going to survive at least, and the culling does a fair bit of work onto the Samus and Trimby. TP's coming in from Red. FNB's not going to be able to get that split push on, and struggling to make headway in this mid lane fight. Red looking for more. Frosty finally gets his Zenith Blade down, and Morteus doesn't have the summoners, remember. Desperately tries to escape, and Kaze grabs him with the spreading Q. And finally they get a big kill. Red, are we about to hard send it onto the Atakan? You've barely had a window like this all game.
Yes, they are. Yes, they have to. They have no choice. Chaos Storm, though, is available for Miryu. Thankfully, the bullet time is down. TP coming across from Bo. He's got Dominus.
He's pretty big. He's got the Stride Breaker. He's a
6K.
big, scary lizard right now. Rebello's trying to keep
5K.
him out, trying to get him a poke damage. Dominus is there. BKS holding fast, waiting for their moment. Atakan dropping lower. DeSamus
2K.
can't find his way in. Red has it secured. Bolt threatening on the side. Flashes in for the stun. And there's the follow by Tribute with the knockup. Bolt can dice them down. Rebello's the first to fall as FNB. Picked apart by DeSamus and Miryu. Red at least have managed to get one back. Bowl suffers and drops down for a second. Kaze now looking to ult. They're looking to get the 2 versus 3, but they've got to respect the Victor. Flashes away. Can't get the stuns. DeSamus trying to escape, but Doom is there ready. A heal can't keep him alive. And Red can finally break back in this series.
Is this what Red needed to bounce back? Trajan Kaze with the multiple kills in pocket. He's fully stacked with his Rod of Aegis, Aceres Embrace, and Cade. They've been playing with so much confidence in the series. Maybe this time was a little bit of overconfidence going on the Atakan for V5. They've given over a bunch of kills, a bunch of buffs, and it started looking real good for them. Trimby arrives late to the fight after a recall to set up Bo, but the way he flies into this fight, it looked really good. A 3-man knockup with Bo sat in the middle and Dominus ticking. it gave hope for a second, but FNB zoned out 2 on the other side, and I think that's the critical part. FNB, this Yorick, which is just supposed to be a split push option, actually had such a big team fight impact.
Yeah, Kazi as well, kind of taking part in the zoning on bot side and then managing to contribute to the damage on top side. He was everywhere in that play, and 5, 2, and 3 now is going to start to become a real threat on this rise. Maybe he can get some of the agency he needs, Frosty. The target once again, the knock-up with double stasis, completely neutralizes the threat. Lovely timing by Doom and Kaze to dodge the Morteus bullet time, and now they can walk onto the Dragon without that threat.
Yeah, and that bullet time, we talked about the fact that coming out of laning phase at first, Morteus was the only one with the right items, with the lead to have impact. And right now in the mid game, it still feels that way because we've not seen the Chaos Storm from Miria come out and do damage. It's been a lot about that bullet time, and the moment it's down, Kate don't seem like they want to fight. And just like that, Red, they get the extra kill, the freebie on Trimby, but they also get Cloud Soul points. And that's going to be impactful for their composition. Movement speed for a comp that doesn't necessarily want a team fight can do a lot of work.
FNB greeted for the last hit on the control ward, and it's gonna be greeted with death for it. I could see him waiting. I was like, just don't hit the control ward, man. It's not worth it. Unfortunately, doesn't quite see the future well enough and does give a freebie over.
FNB gives, and FNB takes away. Maybe that's the LTA South curse, right? Like, we've had Robo, you know, where when he's at the top, he does really good games and he has really questionable throws. FNB seems to have inherited that after beating Loud.
Yeah, somewhat. We really go through a period where FNB seem to have shaken off the curse, but we have revived it a little bit in 2025. FNB can overplay his hand at times. And VKS, once again, going back to the river control vision fight, as Red will happily be able to step up and push them back. Rebello clearing out this wave, trying to get to that third item if possible. It's not been too much for Rebello to do so far, but Lucian does not fall off in the same way that he kind of has done in the past. When he starts to get those extra items, Doom failing the wall jump there. Not the best look for your Nidalee game, but it's going pretty well besides that.
It's fine. We didn't see it, Trajan. It's fine. Let's go back to talking about Rebello and Lucian. Fair enough. Lucian still struggles in the late game, usually due to range issues. For all the mobility he has to play in range of a lot of danger. And you contrast that to Miss Fortune, who, while she's also a short-ranged AD carry, bullet time is a much longer range. And as we saw in the last fight, it's not like Red doesn't have tools to deal with it. The stasis is huge for Doom and Kaze. Kaze has not upgraded his Zonias yet. And I'm curious if that ends up being the big difference maker. If Kaze gets forced out early, I can very easily see a fight in which Red loses the advantages they've been having in terms of being able to pump out more damage more consistently, to be more willing to step up because Ryze is so tanky.
Yeah, trying to maybe craft a play on Kaze. All 5 members are down here. He doesn't have flash quite yet, but he's going to phase rush his way out of there from damage onto Trimby. Chunks him a fair bit as well. BKS turning their eyes to the turret instead. Kaze still trying to hold on to it, and they will keep it alive just for now. So BKS with a poke and a prod, but nothing substantial secured off it.
That's actually crazy that the bot outer turret is still standing. Like, Kate's tried multiple times. Bull had his pushes as well, trying to get in there. And I've seen FNB have to TP first, but yeah, Kate just can't seem to crack. And I feel like that's a symbol of Red's rebellion in this particular series, their comebackness, their ability to stay in the lead. If that mid-outer turret falls, then that signals to me that Cade has found ways to kind of come back into this a little bit.
For Bowl, they've got the CC chain right to set up that Nidalee Spear, and Bowl going to get picked apart. Red, Kaze picking up another one. He was the first to level 16 just a moment ago. And Bowl struggling a little more in this game on the Renekton, struggling to find the impact that he had in game 1 and 2.
Interestingly, Red not opting to sit around on that bot side. They just roamed up to the mid, thinking about threatening a dive while they were waiting for the waves to walk back in. Trajan, if this turret goes down on this wave, then finally Red will have gotten the lead back again. Because despite all these picks we've been seeing, despite the fact that Red has won that Atakan fight, won the subsequent fight as well, they're still down gold. And here we go. I wish it showed us a gold graph, because this one feels like it's been all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Flicks back over to Red, a paltry 200 gold, but they will take it at this point, and they've looked so much more assured in the last 5 to 10 minutes or so. They're making plays across the map. They're actually succeeding in getting the kills over the line now. They've got enough damage. They're well coordinated enough, and VKS starting to struggle just a little bit. Now they still have the Victor scaling up, the Trundle as you mentioned. They've got threats, and they do have resilience. But Red have a little bit of a chance. They've got a window. They have the agency to push through. One big team fight now can mean Dragon Soul, it can mean Baron, it can mean Inhibs. 1 or 2 more big plays for Red, and they could be looking at moving us to game 4.
Or it could be a chance for the VKS comeback with the victor, with the misfortune. And for them, it could mean a Baron as well. Not so much the soul, but it could be the start of them making their way into a 3-0. Damage total so far this game. Very interesting, actually, the fact that, well, for one, Doom's been doing a lot of damage, but I think a lot of it's Poke. Miryu is still pumping out the most damage despite us not really having seen his Chaos Storm, I feel like, in the last couple of big fights.
FNB, is he going to check this brush and find Bowl? Bowl finds him, that's for sure. They don't know where this Renekton is. They've got the sweeper on Bolt to see them. Somebody check this. Kaze's going to find him. Okay, can they go for the full commit onto Rise, who doesn't have the... He does have the Zhonya's now. He stays alive just for now and he flashes to safety. Decimus looks for a little bit more, but Morteus is completely split off. VKS, they've used the big button. They didn't get the kill and they back away to reposition.
No, and the only casualty is Blue Buff going the way of Kate to start things off, but the run back after the TP coming in from Kaze, he's not fully healed yet, should be enough by the time TP is completed. And Miryu trying to answer, but Miryu doesn't feel as threatening without that Chaos Storm.
Hasn't completed the Void Staff just yet either. Couldn't get that third item completed. Now the Zhonya's will still be down for Kaze and no flash. He's got to stay safe. Rebello getting chunked down. Morteus, yes, he's used the ultimate, but he still does a heck of a lot of damage. And Red struggling to get control over this river. The Victor lasers, the Qs from MF, they're hard to break through and looks like they're giving it up.
Yeah, they've just been zoned out with a 1k goal lead with the fact that Kaze came back in. But to be fair, they're taking their time. They had gone for the turrets instead. In the bot side, they're still... Are those grubs or are those Yorick minions? Those are Yorick ghouls.
I think they're Yorick minions, I believe, coming through right here, because it's two grubs for VKS, so there will be no grubbies for Red on this day. But they will get that turret, so trading gold for that inconsequential Cloud Drake for VKS. They try to back away. And the Baron is now live, remember everybody, at this point in the game. So the vision control will be important there. Kaze threatening onto Trimby, they catch him! Stepping too close to a dark brush. Kaze still threatening, ults to reposition, has to keep himself alive. Dasamus on the front line, under pressure. Morteus drops a bullet time, but flashed away. Doom with a lovely Zhonya's and a flash to get him away, but surely will not escape to safety. Jungler down, Chaos Storm growing by the second, and FNB now trying to get away. Kaze will try to keep him alive, but steps too close to ball. Has the phase rush and the shield to speed his way to safety. VKS hungering for more. They've got the health advantage. Flash in for a ball. And the critical Kaze is eliminated.
And just like that, junglers have been removed from the board. The Baron is alive, Trajan, but no junglers to be able to secure it. And what a back and forth between these two teams. It starts so far before, too. It's about the Dragon that kicked off all this action. The fact that Rid, I think, made the right call saying, hey, it's just one Cloud Drake we can give over to VKS. We can take the turrets instead. We can get all of this gold. But then they overstay their welcome. And yeah, the pick onto Trimby, excellent. The chase down after got really, really risky. And I think you pointed it out right when you said that, hey, Morteus, even without the ult, he does a lot of damage. And his chase down with that strut is deadly. If there are low health targets, he will go chasing for it. Right here, beautiful vision play from Red to catch onto Trimby, and they just melt him. The Sunlight passive proc from Leona does a lot of damage, but this is where things kind of got bad, and huge props to Kate Stars with the nerve they had. Despite the fact they lose to Samus, they knew they had enough damage, and more importantly, they knew, okay, Doom's in trouble. They've blown all their big ultimates. We can run this down in zero hesitation. Even the dive into turret, to me, was what really exemplified that, when they saw that, okay, even if it's Kaze, even if it's Tanky Rise, we have to kill him. We have to equalize things, and we can do it even without our big ults.
Flash is committed by Bola Morteus in that fight. Kaze going to get his back up before too long. Rebello still has his on deck as well. So the carries for Red, perhaps with a little bit more safety in the coming plays, is FNB looking for a bit of revenge on Tabo right now, but the ghouls will probably give the game away, you could say, as FNB now with TP. Ball actually doesn't have it as well, so he has to be wary about potentially VKS getting outnumbered on the other side of the map.
And Red really want to take the bot lane inhibitor down. Since it's still up, they're not getting the full pressure that they'd want to get. And Bo can just happily sit down here and answer for now. They're actually probably happier that FNB is down in that bot lane, where they can just leave Bo to slowly have his cooldowns recover from that teleport. Kate Stars had the inner track on Baron, but is now being forced out, and Red getting in there, double ward in the bush. They really want eyes on Kate Stars.
And Red currently have eyes on them as well in that brush. They couldn't clear it out. Bowl has coalesced with them, and Red has to be careful here. But if we're looking for the engage options, Trimby doesn't have a flash select, but he does have ultimate, and Doom's on his own. Trapped in the Baron pit, doesn't have flash in the last play, and exhausted Doom with no business being in that area of the map. Loses the stage stasis and still falls VKS with a snap Baron call.
Yeah, and why not? There's no jungler, there's no smite steal. Sure, Frosty has Unsealed Spell, but doesn't have smite right now. Going for the back door. I appreciate the call, but the TP's being channeled by Miri already.
Frosty's trying to stop them. Frosty's trying to stop whoever he can. I think Morteus hasn't been able to get back there. Red are going for the Hail Mary, but Bowl and Miri, you can keep them out of there. There's so much wave clear between them. FNB doing what he can. He's got the inhib at least, and BKS now have a very slow Baron call to take, and Red will step away. They got some teleports, they got the inhib, really all they could hope for in that play, but still Doom with a critical misstep at this point in the series.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Red Cannon, sure, they Hailed Mary, but she left them on red. She don't care. And for them, they were in a winning position, Trajan, but it's going worse and worse for them. The comp is coming back to bite them. Remember, we said this comp is not good at team fighting. The fact that they won the team fights was what was shocking, was what caused us to be so excited. But now, it feels like Cade have actually caught back up. Their comp is fully coming online. Miryu is starting to do damage. Morteus is starting to do damage. And for Bo and Desamis, once Desamis gets the Subjugate down, his job's pretty much done. Bo is just a meat shield at that point to kind of dive backline and just cause chaos to allow Miryu and Morteus to get space. And with this Baron pickup, Cade are now in a good position to push in. Dragon in 15 seconds. Red, there's an opportunity for them. If you can fight and win at this, maybe you've got a chance. The Cloud Soul is very impactful. Most importantly, you can strip the Barons off of Cade Stars.
Red holding the vision line, looking for the scuttle though, and have to give up that brush control. EKS in control of that bottom side of the river now. Trimby goes in aggressively, kind of a bit risky, surely. Looking for a Rebello right now, as there's the follow-up. Frosty's getting chunked down at least, and Desamis can get the damage down. Rebello with a culling, can't break through Trimby. Ball on the flank looking for the Lucian, but can't get it. And where's the assistance from Red? The other carries are just pushing out the side lanes. VKS swarm over them in bot jungle.
Do you fault them? We've said it before, this comp is not for the team fight. FNB on Yorick split pushing is his natural habitat. That's what you pick this for. Kaze split pushing, okay, a little bit more questionable, but he's at least got mobility spells, and now Bo bouncing back and forth. They'll lose the inner turrets, but they will stop the push. And meanwhile, Red are going to find an inner in the bot side with their Baron as well. They're going to find themselves a second Drake, take that off the table, and they've still got a minute and a half of Baron where they can look to find the last standing inner turret in the mid lane.
BKS so hard to escape once they call the play on you. Get away from Trundle Pillars, Rakan, ults and W's, Morteus with the Make It Rain, Miryu with the Slowsome W. It is inexorable, the chase down when it begins, and we can see that Trimby knows to start this play. They've got the numbers, and even if it takes a while, they're going to get it done.
It almost feels like revenge a little bit from Trimby here. The fact that Frosty had caught him multiple times in the early game. Well, the Rakan's tanky enough now that he can kind of get in there. He's really close to dying, but he pulls the trigger first. Frosty goes down, and this might just be sort of the template for what we see for the rest of this game. It might just become a game of tag. Who can catch whom first? Who pulls the triggers? And if that's the case, then you're looking at the supports who have the CC to make these snap picks.
Trimby locked up, but gets away. Pretty tanky, in fact, is this Rakan. A lot of HP to play with, has the Mikhails and the Locket of the Iron Solari to give himself extra defense there as well. So can play the face check role decently safely as the Baron continues to tick away. Almost done. Red likely will be able to hold on to the rest of the turrets for now, but VKS looking to set up a play fully on vision for now, and Red, no, they do not want to step into that brush.
Kazush just setting an ambush. Bo gonna eat the overload and the flux for now. Meanwhile, we're watching the minions just go marching down at the bot lane. Those are supers. Miryu going back to answer this one for now. So yeah, Cade unfortunately don't get a good Baron push off in the mid lane. They opt for trying to get vision in the jungle. I don't know if that's worth it. It's immediately cleared out by Red anyways. And Trajan, we might just enter a 3-minute stall at this point, where we're just fighting over control of the Baron pit. Any pick that happens right now is only important in so much as it facilitates a full push. Both teams are at the cusp of losing. VKS's base is open. That inhib on the bot side, it's down. Those waves are perma-pushing. But Red's not in that much a better position at 40 minutes into the game or 37 minutes into the game. If Red gets picked, if Cade can find, 2-3 more kills than they lose, they can just push an end the game as well with these long death timers.
FNB looking to take up his post on the bot side. Will be discovered by Desamis. Miryu and Morteus around the corner. Red need to be careful here. They've got their own members in place, but a flash away needed from Yorick. Trimby and Bowl trying to flank. Rebello distracted there, but watch out for this Renekton. Rebello trying to dance around them, but has to flash where the culling goes the wrong direction. Rebello will still find the kill onto Trimby. They've got one. Bowl flashing away, but surely Kaze can lock this lizard down. 2 kills for Red. Now again, this isn't going to mean too much, surely, if the rest of VKS can stay alive in the base.
Yeah, and Bo, Trimby, they tried to be the heroes, but they end up with absolute zero. And remember what we said, the base is open on the bot side. Red is aware of that. No realm warp for Kaze, unfortunately, to be able to push this one in very, very quickly. But you can imagine that they'd have a ton of pressure now with a 5v3 situation, with FNB still being an absolute split push monster and the rest of the team being able to siege mid lane.
They'd love to at least maybe get that bot inhib again, but instead looks like the focus on mid lane turret. 10 seconds on Trimby. FNB shepherding in the wave, threatening for a flank as well, trying to split the VKS focus. Instantly Red start up on that mid turret. The minions clocking away on the inhibitor. Trimby is now alive. Doesn't have the ultimate, but has someone to try and get in for a W. One inhib falls. The second as well. They get the knock up onto Kasi. The second's actually still alive, and now VKS trying to force it. Bo with TP if he gets out of the base alive in 5 seconds. But the inhibitors are both alive? How has that happened? FNB drops the spade down on Trimby and knocks him back, but VKS have got to be thanking their lucky stars. They still have those structures.
That is disgusting, and inhibs do regenerate over time, up to a certain amount, but they do regenerate. So for Cade, a massive stay of execution. Yes, they lose the mid inhibitor turret, but that's okay. We get a replay on how this happened as well, and Red, they just make a snap decision. The moment they saw Bull and Trimby on the side, they just went, okay, let's turn around, collapse on it. What is critical to note, though, is Bull actually did almost find Rebello, despite the fact that it became a 5v2. There is huge threat onto the backline, and that's what you have to keep an eye on in the fights. If Rebello is being zoned out like this, the fights get a lot simpler for Cade, because the only big threat you're looking at the point is Kaze.
The pillar is dropped to the realm warp, and Kaze has to get to safety. He doesn't have TP, doesn't have flash. My man is just dead. You can see FNB instantly goes to try and get the counter push in mid, but this is just before the Baron and the Dragon, RMC.
And we're just talking about simplifying the game to make Kaze the only target. Well, Kaze's gone! Red don't have teamfight damage! Rebello is not going to be able to get in there.
He's got to get 2. FNB has got to find both these inhibs, but what's the choice for VKS? We have to get the Baron or something. Doom's now been caught, trying to carry them. Decent damage from Rebello, but again, you don't want to give more kills out. If you lose too many members, VKS might start pushing for the base. FNB now trying to escape from Bowl. The 1v1 going pretty okay for him, and if Red can get themselves away, he's actually going for the TP. Gonna get stunned up. FNB survives, and this will likely just be the Drake. But could be a Baron as well, depending on if my man can get out of that TP. And no one's gonna stop the recall. So the Soul continues to elude Red, and they're TPing into this Baron. They're gonna go for it all.
Yeah, here's the play that they didn't dare to make when FNB was bodying Bull in a 1v1 on the bot side. They couldn't start up the Baron, but now that they've managed to push FNB away, they're looking for this. Kaze has respawn, no realm warp, no teleport. He's got to walk in the good old-fashioned way. There's no boss gun.
Frosty trying to check it. Maybe would look for a Hail Mary ult steal, but is going to hold it on for now. VKS, second Baron of the game. Third straight Drake off that play. They've got a lot of movement speed around the map right now to try and handle these split push threats, because they have lost the inhibs. The Baron will keep them safe for now if they can post up members in those waves. But Red keeping them working for every inch of this game. Their base is still fine.
Yeah, and even with the burn buff, this almost was like a stall burn at this point. Can they actually push up and take turrets with supers in their base? Trimby looking for the angle. The rest of the team is not here, and the funny part is technically Red actually have the vision to be able to tell that, but we get to see a replay of how everything went oh so wrong. And as you called, with the pillar, even with the spell shield, it doesn't matter, because as long as you can disrupt the mini tiny knock-up that pillar gives, was enough to cancel that, and the whole team just swarmed in immediately. VKS smelt blood in the water, and they were quick to pounce. Red now on the defense, but where is the Cade Stars push? Can they do a 4-1 in this situation? I'm not sold, even with burn buff.
Certainly the more successful plan for them has been to group up together and punish Red, kind of being in the wrong position or pushing for a play they don't have numbers advantage for. And as we get later into the game, 42 minutes on the clock, RMC, we're approaching full build for some of our carries, and we're going to kind of plateau at the top of that growth curve. We do at least have a Medjai's on the board for Miryu, so his last item is certainly trying to be as impactful as possible. 4-1 and 9. Kind of certainly makes a good case for it, but as the game goes longer and longer, we are hitting that scaling mark. We'll find out which of these comps is going to look better.
I love how FMB just did his best tower roleplay. He just stood there like he was the tower.
Yeah.
And between the Maiden and his ghouls, they were actually clearing waves for a little bit before the rest of Cade Stars joined up. Yeah, the push is really, really slow. There's only a minute left on Baron, by the way. And the mid lane with wave clear we're seeing come through from Red is sufficient. There's also the threat of an engage while Bull was down bot.
VKS picks up that first turret. Bull shepherding in that bot wave, as you say. Kaze looking if there's action to be had on the flank, but now the inhibs under fire. Mirror stepping up the lasers, chunking across Red. The first turret falls. That's going to surely be an inhib. Red are happy to give them the respect they deserve, but FNB deep under that turret. Bull's trying to get a play started, perhaps. With the Maiden slowing them down. Frosty threatening with the ultimate as well. Rebello on the front line needs to be very careful, and Red looking for opportunities, but VKS stands strong.
Rebello drops a culling. Miru drops a laser. Miru did more damage. That is not okay, but that's the ball.
Rebello's cool. He's trying to flash away. Loses the barrier as well. Red can breathe a sigh of relief that he even survives at all, but VKS now threatening the Nexus turrets. FNB getting chunked down as the Baron waves continue to crash in. Kaze, what can this Rise do? He's been instrumental for them. Morteus taking a couple of chunks here and there. Frosty's in, but doesn't get purchased onto him. Cleanser, Morteus keeps him alive. Doom dives in for safety. Trimby goes down first. Bowl into the dive line. Rebello's only lost his summoners. Doom does find the kill. Kaze can maybe make it work. Red 2 versus 2 for the world's ticket to keep running the series. And they stand strong in the base. GA for Bull. FNB locks him in the cage, and Kaze will surely be able to finish him off. Red are battered and bruised, but they live still.
The super, can it take the turret? No! Kaze with the wave clear. Trajan, what is this game? This feels like a game 5 with how close and back and forth it is. This is only game 3, but Red are playing for their lives right now. And Frosty, I thought he made a horrific mistake when the Zenith Blade hit. When he went in, but Rebello critically was able to pump out damage unchecked. The dive threats weren't there, and by the time Bull actually gets into the backline, Morteus and Miru are dead. So Red, they won that fight out by keeping Rebello relevant, by allowing him space to play, and just like that, the game goes on. But the shoe's on the other foot. The inhibitors for VKS have respawned at this point, whereas Red are now the ones with a potentially almost open Nexus. One Nexus turret left standing, and it ain't healthy.
There's a TP ward in the base as well, by the way, with 2 TPs for VKS, and Trimby could swap into a third if they want to try and fully commit for it. Now the waves have been pushed out by Red, and the turret's going to be slowly regenerating health, but VKS know that Red are going to have eyes in the back of their head. FNB wants to do it. There it goes. Miryu, he's committing for it. FNB's going to TP his way right back. They're going to lose the soul for this, but Miryu surely will not be able to get the win. What are we doing? Okay, we're back into live. FNB and Bo, if they can get onto Miryu, this could be massive for them. Kaze's isolated on the other side though. Both mid laners surely will get caught out here. Rebello falls too. It's going to be mid and top lane for mid and bot lane. But Red are still just about alive. VKS, you've got no Baron. They could peel back for the soul.
Yeah, I think they're just going to fall back and take up the console. But such an interesting fight here where the members who go down, for Kate, the fact that Miryu and Bull went down means that they still have Morteus for damage. But Red lost both Kaze and Rebello, so they can't really fight. At best, they can hold. FNB can threaten, but without the flash, he actually doesn't have much threat onto Morteus. And Doom, we've seen before, Doom is really, really squishy. Really no defensive stats aside from the armor on the Zhonya. So if Doom dives in, he's dead immediately to Morteus and Trimby. And because of that, the teams kind of have to handshake. Kate goes back, picks up Soul. Have we hit full build on everybody? Has anybody hit full build? We've got Desamus.
Important to note, but Morteus has, and he's hit full build in the sense that he's sold his boots for a GA. So Morteus has the strut to keep him kind of at normal move speed. Plus, they now have a 4-stacked Cloud Drake Cloud Soul. So he is plenty fast enough without boots and has the extra survivability of the shield bow, plus the Bloodthirster, plus the Guardian Angel.
Yeah, a little bit risky though to watch Morteus. I don't know what the actual movement speed number is. I'm just worried that FNB gets some sort of slow and then gets punished. Kaze TP's into the mid lane as the teams are starting the Baron dance. Baron melts real quick right now.
He TP'd into mid lane. Maybe they thought they could find a play there, but now the Baron minions are still going to stream into this battered Nexus, and Kaze, he has to go back there with no TP this time as the Baron is live. VKS holding the cards as Red maybe a little caught in the jungle. Doom on the wrong side of the pillar trying to escape. He's not going to get out of there, and they find the pick onto Rebello as well. VKS surely can't end this game with a simple pick in the jungle.
Yes, they can, Trajan, and they're looking for it. Bo now leading the charge. It's a 5v3. Those turrets, okay, the next turret respawned, I believe, but because of the bug, we can't see the health. Trimby going in.
Last defense was a hero play. This has to be a miracle play. 3v5. FMB threatening onto Morteus, but Kaze's being dived under the turrets. Frosty falls as well. And Vivo Cade Stars will fulfill the prophecy of CL. They shot for the moon, and now the LTA South trophy has landed amongst the stars.
11.5 years, Trajan, since Cade last hoisted the trophy, and they'll do it again. Coach CL, born in Korea, started his career in Oceania, cut his teeth in Europe, and now he's finally hoisting a title here in South America and about to bring it to North America to challenge for the LTA Regional Championships. And after that, he ain't done. There's still China, there's still World, and South America. LTA South is looking to make their mark on the world stage.
But DeSamus almost going for a very different gesture right into the camera right there. But let's give the man some slack. Surely this means the world to them. DeSamus as well, going from the eternal potential player to lifting the first trophy here with VKS. They step out in front of the crowd to take their well-earned bows. He's taking his shirt off, brother. Surely this is a finable offense. But he is going to do it. Let's let the man have his moment. As up comes the trophy. Congratulations to the Cade Stars.
Bro doesn't even have anything written on his abs. Like when Griffin didn't even take off his shirt. Griffin just lifted to show his abs and show the 3-0. And DeSamus, man, if you haven't seen his, like, not profile pics, but sort of the photo day pics that they get for MVP, it's not the first time DeSamus has gone shirtless. It won't be the last, but for sure, this one will stand out for him.
Yeah, and Bowl now being handed the trophy. What a turnaround for this top laner. Someone who, again, dominated the solo queue ladder, but had generational drop-offs on stage so many times. But VKS saw it in him, gave him another chance, and now here he is, turning the narrative around, dominating every single best top laner that this region has, and lifting the trophy himself.
And Miru as well. Now, the undisputed #1 mid laner in the LTA South. He took out Kaze in style. He was the missing piece for this Cade Star squad to fulfill CL's promise and give them a win. From a 5-year plan to a 2-year plan, CL had to accelerate this insanely hard. And it worked. You see CL on stage with Smalley, with the other coaches, the support staff as well to come through. And Smalley's relationship with Trimby and Morteus is so wholesome. Like when Smalley came in, when he joined last year, he was told, hey, you're just going to warm the spot for Morteus. We want you to teach the team how to play. You're always meant to be a coach. And Smalley brought them within an inch of winning last year in CBLOL. This year, LTA South, it's delivered. Morteus, he's been teaching him as well positionally. He's been working with Trimby in terms of macro. The drafts as well have cleaned up so much. This is a complete package. And sure, today's games probably didn't give you the best view of Cade Stars because Red crumbled a little bit too quickly. But going into the north, I am excited to see what Cade can show us against other teams. They will be first seed, so they will play the winners of FlyQuest and 100 Thieves, the winners of today. And Trajan, if 100 Thieves win, I'm gonna laugh so hard at that matchup that's gonna be coming.
Yeah, that's what I call winnable right there, for sure. And VKS, just thinking back of the streak and where the region is now, when it was all pain and red, just traded titles, then it was just loud after loud after loud after loud, and then from then we broke the dynasty and we went pain, Isserus Estral, Furia, VKS. We are just, everyone's taken a turn at the top, and this shows you so much has changed throughout this year in this region. We have so many new players, new talents spread across so many teams that are all able to leverage that power and lift the trophy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and Trajan, we've been focused so much on the winners, but let's take a quick overview. The North has their third seat locked in. It is going to be Shopify Rebellion. Here in the South, we know that team. We know them well. Revan as their coach, B-Boy and Seos, formerly of Pain and Loud, respectively. Yeah, we're coming back in, and I'll tell you what. Cade Stars, it's hype that they won first. But Loki, I am very excited to watch Red go up against the most southern of North teams.
Yes. Red is the most Brazilian LTA South team, and dare I say Shopify is the most Brazilian LTA North team. Just in the way they approach the games, the way their games look and feel, that is going to be a pretty dynamic matchup, I dare say. Hopefully Red can shake this loss off. Certainly in that third game, that was a well-run game. It was competitive right the way down to the wire, but VKS had the edge on quality. They just had the better plan going into today. But at least Red showed us that they do have something to offer. They do have mechanics. They do have an ability to go toe-to-toe with the best in a tricky game and last them till almost the very end. But ultimately, a couple of those small mistakes just let VKS secure that 3-0.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is an interview happening in Trimby right now. It is in English because Trimby is communicating mostly in English down south. We are not able to get the sound on, but roughly they were just asking, oh, we might be able to get the sound, so hopefully we can. The first question was just kind of how he thought about it, but let's see if the interview is
não teria o porquê ele estar aqui, então é graças ao Sil que ele está aqui. Ele também entende que ele cresceu muito.
What he did say initially was that the match was, I think, a bit of a harder match than it might have looked, despite it being a 3-0. But very happy, you know, how the team kind of performed as well. Trimby, humble defeat, gracious in victory.
Yes, absolutely. Especially after it took a while for him to bed in right there. You know, people questioned the Trimby move, but ultimately it did just there was such clear improvement, split on split. And bedding in with Morteus, who has been growing consistently as well into such a strong late game carry that's just ready to pick up the slack. If ever Miryu is struggling, if ever they're focusing about the game, if Bol's been pushed to a bad matchup, you know that Morteus is always keeping himself out of trouble, ready to step up and carry when the moment requires it.
Well, Trajan, what an epic end this year to this 3-split system, to the inauguration of the LTA South, as it were. Our first year off, and it ain't done just yet because the LTA is 2 conferences. There is still the North that will be starting, I believe, shortly-ish. Should be coming in about 20 minutes as well, and so there'll be a lot of excitement there. But yeah, very happy with how this year has been kind of going. Very excited for the cross region. We are here a co-stream in the LTA South, so we'd appreciate it if you could always give us a follow. We'll continue to be putting out content in the off season, but this should be, I think, the last LTA game we're covering on this stream as a co-stream. We will still have the promo relegation tournament potentially for the LTA South as well. More details to follow, so follow us on Twitter or join us in the Discord channel for more information on that.
Yes, so that's going to take place, I believe, at the start of October, end of September, start of October, so we'll be back live for that one if possible. But, you know, just support the LTA South. Thank you everybody who's joined us here in this stream. We really appreciate the follows, the subscriptions, the messages, engaging and following the product with us. That's ultimately what we want to do. We just want to present it to all of you so that we can all enjoy such a magical region that the LTA South is. And we hope to see you all in the chat.
So hold our heads up high and beat the drum to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call?